into a center that can help you with that. Okay? So, just to make it clear, I will briefly go through the workflow that we have so you can understand better when TPS gets into the game. So today, whenever you want to make a Dsd Invisalign case with us, that's what you need to do. Okay? It's been like this since ever, right? So you take the product, you take the pictures, you take your scan, and you submit to us, right? We will plan the case for you, thinking about ortho, of course, and we will send back the presentation. One big change that we had on this new workflow, and I explain why, and many of you were like throwing rocks on me, but I'm okay, I will accept it, is to remove the ortho simulation part. So many of you that already use that, yeah, you don't like it, I know, you don't agree, okay. And I'm open for any suggestions. That's not. That's because you don't really fully use the TPS service, and that's what I want to explain. Okay? It's a substitution. You're still gonna have ortho. Okay? But the first thing was to remove the ortho simulation. Okay? So, but anyways, we send the design, the new design thinking on ortho. We send the motivational design for you to do the mock-up. Send everything. You still have the color code. You evaluate that. You ask for changes, or you accept. You do the mock-up the same way. Okay? So, whenever you approve, then you will submit the case to Invisalign, right? So, that's the moment to really submit the case inside IDS. Okay? The same way, nothing changed. Of course, that's the mandatory step. Everybody that already sent the case knows what I'm talking about. Whenever the case, at the end of the subscription, the submission, you have to select this option, telling Invisalign that this is a Dsd case. Very simple. Okay? Invisalign will work with our information. We'll take our information. We will send to Align directly some files, and they will get your files, incorporate on their software, and they will create clean check guided by Dsd. Same way as ever. Okay? And we'll send you clean check. And then this is when TPS gets into the game. Whenever we receive clean check, if you want, of course, that's not mandatory. It's up to you to decide. You can share this case with us through the TPS platform. I'm going to show a video that explains or shows the steps. But of course, you don't need to really be that worried with that. The most important is to understand. If you have an X case, you need help, customer support here will help you step by step. Okay? But then you have an option inside IDS to send to TPS. You are only allowed to have one TPS service inside your IDS. And all of you that are already inside the collaboration received an email from us, not just explaining TPS, but also send you a document. Of course, everything that we do in Invisalign needs to be signed. You know, so you need to sign a document, and you need to also we send some videos to show you how to activate this option, because it needs to be activated inside your IDS. So there's certain steps, easy, that you need to do just one time, and we can help you with that also. But once you activate that, then it's a every case decision. So every case that you receive, you have an option to go and select, I want this case to go to the planning center, TPS. And the case will come to us. We will first quality control, of course, everything, make sure everything is okay in terms of the Dsd design, the picture, everything. And we will suggest at first any modification that we see that is necessary according to Dsd. This will go back to Costa Rica and then go back to you. You will open the case, see, check, do whatever you want. Okay, change whatever you want, of course, like always. Okay. You can send the case back again to us if you want, or you just make your fine-tuning and send to Costa Rica again. Or if you don't need to make any modification, just approve and send to manufacture the aligners. Okay, so Invisalign, so we will send to Invisalign, Invisalign send it back. Sorry, I got to. And anytime you want, you have the option of, before accepting the case, final approval, you have the option. There's no limitations here. The same way there's no limitations for the modification in Costa Rica. There's no limitations in how many times you can send the case to us. Okay? So, since we have the possibility now to be working with you, closely with you, helping you, giving our inputs directly inside CleanCheck, why to spend time, and time is money for everybody, on the ortho simulation back on the first step, if we can do it directly here? We know that many times our ortho simulation was the initial idea, and many times the ortho that you receive from CleanCheck were not exactly the same. And many doctors were getting very confused about that also. So another reason for us to remove the initial ortho simulation. I know it's a great tool to communicate purpose. Maybe you were using a lot to, before even sending to Invisalign, to really explain to the patient. For that, you still have the option of the interdisciplinary. Okay, so the interdisciplinary will be for exactly this reason. That actually has ever been the option for this, right? So whenever you need to treatment plan, have information to treatment plan, to communicate with your patient, explain the treatment to him before case acceptance, the best option by far is the complete interdisciplinary option. And the ortho simulation will be always there. So this Invisalign is basically for most of the patients that you're already kind of sold or convinced that they need ortho. It doesn't mean you cannot use this before also, because you still have ideal design thinking on ortho, you still have all the images, you still have the mock-up, you still have the color code, right? So of course you can, it's up to you. But since TPS is available, and I think it's much better because you're working already inside the platform that will generate the final ortho, real ortho that will generate the aligners. Since we can have our inputs here directly, we thought it wasn't worth it to really spend time before. So the turnaround time got shorter. It's not 5 days anymore. So before it was 5 days, now it's 3. Okay? So that's why we always suggest and try to, because even if you have a lot of experience with Invisalign, right, and you do your own CleanCheck, this is very fast, okay? So this is not, it doesn't take time. We receive the case, we check, we evaluate, we see the files. We can give us our input, whatever. Then this goes back to Costa Rica, goes back to you. I think it's very useful, even for those that controls a lot CleanCheck. But of course, again, it's a very simple case, you are in a rush, you don't need help from us, it's up to you to decide. Okay? So, I put here some top points that I think, why to use it, right? For which kind of dentist this could be a good tool. So I put those things together. I would like to have your feedback on that, but general practitioners that need help with orthodontics, aligners, CleanCheck. Of course, this is probably the main group that we can really help a lot with our expertise. Again, remember, I'm not the one looking into the orthodontics here because I'm not an orthodontist, but we have specialists here. Danielle is doing part of this process. He's starting to work closely with us and probably will be part of the team also as a consultant. And we have specialists here working with CleanCheck. And the idea is to really build a very experienced team that could really give their inputs in terms of suggestions that would be the ideal way to go with Invisalign. Okay?
I think, Professor, that the three key aspects to master Invisalign, right? You need to combine three skills to master CleanCheck, to master aligners. Number one, you need to be a good orthodontist. Number two, you need to be good with digital. And number three, you need to be experienced with CleanCheck. You need to have volume with CleanCheck. Of course, that we see now with this new trend that Invisalign created, that many GPs, through experience, through doing over and over, and through learning from orthodontists, are becoming very good with CleanCheck, and that's great. You know, we believe that easy orthodontics can be easily solved by a GP that invested energy to learn orthodontics. But as we know, technology, CleanCheck as a software, there's a whole art on it. So only volume can give you that experience. So what we have here, because of the volume, is that our team of orthodontists, they are great orthodontists, they are great with digital, they are inside the first and still only interdisciplinary digital planning center in the world. And they do a lot of CleanChecks because they're doing for many doctors. So this is the reason why I believe TPS, the concept of TPS, is one of the smartest things that Invisalign developed recently. Again, what TPS is the concept that we love, that we call collective intelligence, meaning taking advantage of people's experiences and bringing them into your office. It's like transforming the whole that planning center into your staff member, into your specialist in your office, right? So even as a learning experience, maybe you are you're gonna do some TPS, and as you learn with TPS, because you see the changes, you see what an experienced CleanCheck user, it's like transforming every case of yours into a course, into a demonstration, into a learning process. And maybe in the future, you're gonna do less and less TPS because you're gonna understand more, or you're gonna like the workflow, you're gonna like the business model, and you're gonna do more of the rest and continue to outsource. But it can be the gateway for you to then partner up with an orthodontist that maybe is great orthodontist, but not great with CleanCheck, not great with this new technology. And through TPS, this orthodontist can start to learn and become good with it.
You went to option 2 and 3 already. Thank you. No, 3D controls. Yes. No, we communicate through 3D controls. We make the modifications, send to them. No text. We don't want to know. Yeah. Okay, so Christian explained very well the option number 2 and option 3, right? And then the other one, even orthodontists that really understand how it works, they can still benefit from this workflow to not waste too much time with it. So we can make 89% of the work, they just receive it, fine tune, change here or there, and then submit. Right?
Yeah. Right. If you use TPS, I don't know if you're going to talk about it, it doesn't need to be a Dsd case.
No, it doesn't need to be a Dsd case, but of course we are still using this service for the Dsd collaboration only.
Okay, so
but technically speaking, can be for any case. Technically speaking.
But isn't
the
every
option
case...
of TPS is going to be available for any cases from you, any case. Even if it's a normal case, if you go there on IDS, you can select TPS, the case will come to us. Of course, we are trying to push this even to get you guys used to the workflow, for us also to start with the Dsd cases.
So
but
is
in the future,
not open?
No, it technically is open, but we are not promoting as an option.
So if you have a CleanCheck case that you just received, for any reason, we're not going to judge you, for any reason you didn't do the previous DSD work on the case, technically you can activate and add our input on the clean check. Of course, our input on your clean check will be a purely orthodontic input and not an interdisciplinary DSD.
We can also, I will explain because this is something that we're going to have to use until May. I'm going to explain. Okay, this is, again, also here, very good option for us to make sure, and this is why we identified some technical issues, and that's why until May we're going to have to change a little bit how we're going to do things, and I'll explain to you.
Actually, Align making us a TPS allowed us to get into clean check, and because of this experience, we are really identifying why the Dsd Invisalign workflow was not working properly. And we are troubleshooting in a much faster speed and working in direct contact with their R&D department to overcome those issues.
Yes, yeah, funny.
So, for instance, so I assume you're going to show us an exact...
I had another microphone there, or?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, in terms of the...
It's outside? The microphone is outside.
In terms of in terms of the current workflow, we order from the planning center a motivational. Is that still done in TPS, or it's all inside TPS? Is that still done on top, or what's the difference?
Go again, Falin. Sorry, I missed it.
No, I'm saying if you choose to TPS, what are you doing differently in terms of when you order it? Obviously, you still need to do a DSD.
When you order to us or to Invisalign?
Well, yeah. Once you where do we order?
The order, no, the workflow doesn't change.
Uh-huh.
You have to order to the Dsd Invisalign here.
Yep.
We go through the design process, everything. We send it to you.
Yep.
Once this is approved, you're gonna order to Invisalign the same way.
Yeah.
Select Dsd collaboration.
Yeah.
The case goes to Align. Whenever the case goes back to you, first clean check. Whenever Costa Rica sends the first clean check to you is when you can activate TPS and this case comes to us.
Okay.
So it's like you entering clean check to see how was the first ortho from Costa Rica. It's us doing the same.
So I assume that's an additional cost.
No.
So why don't you do every case TPS?
I'm trying to. You guys don't want to use. I'm the one pushing you guys.
Yeah, like you might as well make it a default process, I guess.
I wish that, but Invisalign doesn't have this ability.
No, it's one click.
Permission for somebody. You're allowing
Yeah.
somebody
Ah,
into
yeah.
the clinic,
You
so
need,
have
whenever
to
you click
permission.
TPS, you are giving your permission
Right.
technically to someone else.
TPS,
Third party.
TPS has absolutely nothing to do with DSD. TPS has nothing to do with DSD. TPS is a concept that you, Invisalign provider, receives a case, you open the clean check, and you're supposed to be able to change. And you look at the case and you say, and then you call your orthodontist. Can you
Jump
do that?
in. Can you jump in?
And instead of you calling the orthodontist, you're clicking DSD TPS. And we will jump in, and we will do the clean check for you. You have to approve it. The final, I agree.
So it's like a
It's always
DSD
yours.
Invisalign team viewer.
Yeah.
Where you
It's
jump
not,
in.
it's an orthodontist from a different company that is getting into your case and doing the clean check for you, and then you look, you fine tune, you approve, and that's TPS. Now,
So TPS can be for other providers.
no, so Invisalign has to officialize third parties to be official TPS, and that's the thing that we became recently.
So that's a
Okay,
big
we
deal.
became recently official TPS, a treatment planning service. TPS, treatment planning service, a third party in between you, provider, and Align Costa Rica. It's somebody in between that is under your responsibility. Align doesn't even know or doesn't even
Legally
care.
speaking, you are responsible the same way.
So who's
We are not responsible
If we
for
mess
whatever we
up,
do for you
you
because you
approve.
have the final
Okay.
approval.
Now, what means TPS inside DSD? We found out that TPS would be the solution for the DSD Invisalign workflow that was kind of clunky, right? Because we were working on Demotech software, in Costa Rica in the CleanCheck software. and things were not overlapping.
We have never been able to see what Costa
They
Rica
were
was
doing.
sending to you. Not even if our design
was respected.
was the same, the alignment. So original model and our design, if this alignment was good. Not even this we were able. So we were getting some feedbacks from here or there that the alignment seems to not be very good, but just So with TPS, we started to receive much more cases, and once we were entering those cases, we were identifying more problems that we thought. Okay?
So every Dsd Invisalign case becomes a TPS. You suggest to be TPS. They need to.
we suggest they need to click the button.
So every person that is ordering a Dsd Invisalign case, we strongly recommend you just to hit the
We
button
do.
TPS.
And you guys that are sending, you see that we are sending messages all the time. You have TPS.
Allow us to be the
Yes,
TPS.
TPS.
Allow us. Give us permission. Give us permission
So
to enter your case.
is the expectation going through that additional click that it is going to be a more streamlined or a more refined process, or a shorter time period of treatment, or a combination?
So by hitting TPS, the first advantage is to allow us to identify the problems and improve the process in the future. The second thing is to take advantage of our experience with ClinCheck, right? And also to speed up the process.
You don't have to waste your time on ClinCheck, and we will do it for you. For the collaboration, Dsd Invisalign collaboration, we don't have any extra cost for that because we are substituting actually the ortho simulation for the TPS.
Nemotech?
Now we are okay. That's good. Okay, so that's why we are really pushing you guys. Use TPS. Use TPS.
Question?
For TPS, I just want you to correct me if I'm wrong. Just now on the wall that it says why to use it, and when I check it, and just in this row, okay, we are just 4 dentists that they're diamond providers, and they're quite good at it. And what is the reason that we should do the TPS? Because is there an option not to choose the TPS? Because otherwise,
Yes,
maybe.
Actually, not
It's
to
case by
choose.
case.
Not to choose the default. You have to choose if you want us to see.
So there is an option that we can avoid TPS.
Yes.
TPS will not happen. You can only,
You turn it on.
if you click and select TPS. If you don't click anything, it's just you and we.
The same way.
For your benefit.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
the case
totally.
counts for you.
The case is yours.
It's your
Totally. We don't have.
No, what I mean is
No, she means that she has a lot of experience, so she wants to do her.
If you're doing an Invisalign case, not with DSD, there's no DSD work done. You're doing just an Invisalign case. You have the expertise and the time, because these are the two things: expertise and time. There's no reason to hit TPS.
So is TPS going to be on every ClinCheck regardless who?
The option, yes.
Regardless of GSD.
Okay. So there's other.
And if Invisalign gives licenses to other official partners, when you click TPS, you're going to probably have a menu of people that are TPS centers.
Okay. Now,
You should.
Every orthodontist that is very good on ClinCheck can offer to Invisalign, can I become a TPS? I want to start helping my friends. You know, this is already happening.
okay.
Can I?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know? Wait. Do you know something about Invisalign? Because if you don't know, better not talk. There's no time to waste. Just kidding. Go.
Thanks a lot for the wonderful award. I'm very excited. So one thing, why I come to here, I have over 2,000 cases for the Invisalign system, and I am a black diamond provider. Why I use TPS? That is, TPS service and ClinCheck is totally different. What is more high important thing is TPS. Because we have to think about face, positioning, smiling, midline. Only we understood TPS. What is ClinCheck? ClinCheck is procedures. You understood? Tooth movement. That is not analysis. Procedures. TPS is more high grade. Then I use it. Okay? Thanks a lot.
No, yeah.
Wonderful.
Kenji is referring to the TPS
DSD, right?
with the Dsd,
With
right?
the DSD.
With the Dsd service. Thank you, Kenji.
We had any other questions? Marcus?
If I'm the restorative dentist and we've had this situation with a planning center, I'm the restorative dentist that is going to initiate the case, but then I'm going to transfer the case to the orthodontist. Is there a way to link that case with the orthodontist?
Inside the DSD platform?
Yeah.
Inside the DSD platform?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not yet. So you have to give access to your account to him.
Yeah, that's the easiest
Okay,
way.
so it's in between you and him. The communication needs to go through you two, and he can have access if you allow him to go inside your account with us, right? So
Then I have to get another required for accessing his account.
no, he's
No, he
it's
accesses
one-
yours. You
it's
just
one
send him the
account.
password.
You are the
Do you
DSD.
trust him?
But
No, he's the DSD provider and his orthodontist is the Invisalign
No,
provider.
you
No,
can't
that's
get
two
that.
different
Oh, you
accounts.
can have.
He wants the orthodontist to have
Oh, you can?
access to his DSD account
Oh, before or
Before.
before Invisalign?
before Invisalign.
To help you understand if ortho is needed and what type of ortho,
Yeah.
etc.
Or you can send
Or even
the
to
You send to him the presentation
finalize the
directly,
plan.
or you give your account, the access of your account. It's up to you.
You add it to, and you restrict what you want them to do. Only page, and then you license it up, and modify.
I didn't get this.
That for you guys it's easier to get into my case, not only the presentation that I can send to him. So it's better just to get an access for him to go into my account and that's it.
Yes. Yeah.
If he's a, let's say, a resident orthodontist, meaning a partner that is doing a lot of cases with you, I believe the easiest is just to give him access to the planning center account.
Yes.
Now, the other thing that you can do is just receive the whole plan from the planning center and share the presentation with him. Say, tell me what you think, what are the modifications, how do we finalize this treatment plan, because I need to present tomorrow to my patient. You share the DSD presentation with the orthodontist.
Yeah, that's what usually happens.
So then normally it goes to him to do the change.
Mhm.
But to me,
So
to what is finished. So how is that going?
that's
It's two things.
conceptual. Let's
It's your team.
understand. Let's
Your
understand the
team. It's
concept.
under your umbrella, right? You have to manage the communication between you and your team the way you think is the best, right?
The best way to understand is back to DSD timeline. DSD timeline. In the middle, what we have? Case acceptance. The globally known DSD slide. Timeline. In the middle, case acceptance. What do we have at the beginning? Pre-case acceptance strategies. What do we have at the end? Post-case acceptance strategies. So what is pre-case acceptance strategy? There's a doctor in charge. It's usually you. The owner of the patient is in charge of the pre-case acceptance strategies. What you need to define? Diagnostics, smile design, and treatment plan. So all the specialists are team players under you when the case is on a pre-case acceptance moment. So you get the DSD workup and you're going to share with your team members for them just to give opinion. So you can define the plan. You define the plan and you present the plan to your patient. You need to sell the case. There's no Invisalign at that moment. You're not going to order and pay for Invisalign before your patient buys the treatment. So first you need to diagnose, plan, design, and then you need to sell. So you're at the top, specialists are at the bottom. Okay? When you sell the case and you start the treatment, the process inverts. Because now you need to actually order the Invisalign. Right? So now your orthodontist is on top of that process, and you're just a team player there, right? And he needs to then order the Invisalign case like you always did. If you did a DSD work on the same patient, and then you order Dsd Invisalign, your orthodontist will benefit from the fact that his clean check has Dsd in it. That's it. And if your orthodontist needs help, he hits TPS, and we jump in. Okay? So post-case acceptance. So the reason why Francis removed orthodontic simulation,
Only
follow
from
me.
the Invisalign, not from the interdisciplinary.
Follow me, follow me. You're gonna like my explanation, Francis.
Okay.
Follow me. The reason why we removed the ortho simulation from Dsd Invisalign is because Dsd Invisalign product became a post-case acceptance product. Because the pre-case acceptance product is the interdisciplinary comprehensive planning, that ortho is part of it. So if you want to simulate ortho to use as a diagnostic, smile design, treatment planning moment and sell the case, that's why interdisciplinary product comes with the ortho simulation. Even though we know that the Nemo simulation is not identical to ClinCheck simulation, but it's good enough for you to plan and sell. If you're ordering a Dsd Invisalign, means you're ordering post-case acceptance. You want to do something. You want to treat. It's a treatment. It's a post-case acceptance product, meaning you don't need the Nemotech simulation because you already sold the case. You need the real ClinCheck simulation. That's why we don't redo, right? If you did an interdisciplinary order first, we're going to use that Nemotech, of course, initial simulation, as a base for us to do the ClinCheck simulation as close as possible. Okay? So it's a post-case acceptance one.
Bartos.
Yeah,
I would like to refer exactly what Christian said, because that's why I'm sad a little bit that you removed actually the simulation, because for me that was the best tool to sell Invisalign. Most of my cases are not the people who came to my office for Invisalign. Orthodontics, orthodontics is something that I offer, and I need a tool to sell. And without this simulation, it will be much more difficult for me to sell. Of course, I will manage. Now I have iTeros, maybe I will manage differently, right? But my question right now is, because before when I ordered the interdisciplinary, and then I wanted to go to Invisalign, I needed to pay extra.
Yes.
Is it going to change, or how does it? Because
No, it's the same. We give a discount, but you have to pay something extra because the option of going to Invisalign includes other things that it doesn't. You don't have an interdisciplinary. So you have TPS. We have to prepare all the files and communicate with Invisalign. We have a different workflow, right? So
it makes my process much more expensive right now. So that's why I'm sad, because
That's-
for me that was
that-
the best tool.
I will show
Most of
the-
the cases was sold with your
I
solution.
will show the presentation, the new one. I think you still can sit, in my opinion, right? You still can sell ortho case easily with what we have, but of course some adaptations
Yeah,
will
but
need to be
if
done.
I could reply, I think that idea is actually much more interesting,
No, no.
because
One thing
I
is-
can manage selling
one
by
thing is
myself,
fact.
but it's easier.
The Nemotech
Give you the
ortho, the
TPS.
Nemotech ortho simulation overlap with the Dsd project is an amazing tool to sell orthodontics. That's why we strongly suggest you to have our ortho simulation together with the smile design. That was the birth of Dsd Invisalign concept of increasing case acceptance on ortho. Of course, that now we are saying, okay, so if you want that, you need to order interdisciplinary. That is more expensive than ordering Dsd Invisalign, right? So we may brainstorm a little bit about how we can create an intermediate process, because we're gonna work again on TPS, right? So we're gonna do an ortho work on TPS. If we're gonna have to do the ortho Nemotech, we're gonna do twice, but we can definitely discuss if there's an intermediate solution that is in between the old.
One thing is that most of my cases does not require other
Anything.
simulations. Anything else. This is just ortho simulation,
Ortho and smile design,
Yeah.
ortho smile
Yeah,
design.
but ortho restorative is considered an interdisciplinary case as well, right? Yeah, but, yeah, we we are very open all the time. Yeah, kind of question.
Don't kill me, but couldn't you potentially do Dsd Invisalign, accept from a line, submit to a line, get a ClinCheck, and then you don't pay for that ClinCheck.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can
You're suggesting to Bartos, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, to
yes.
Bartos.
But you pay, Carla, you pay if the patient,
No,
if the
you
patient
pay-
doesn't
No,
accept.
If you don't go for a line.
You only pay
If
at
you-
a line when you accept that line.
So there's a cancellation.
No, if
Absolutely.
There
Yeah,
is.
there is.
if
There is.
You don't order it.
if you don't order the aligners, if you don't order the
The
aligners,
patient doesn't accept, pay the clincher.
depends on the
Yeah.
market then, maybe.
Maybe depends.
$300 on top. Yeah.
No,
Ala has a lot of
Depends
experience,
of
I don't know.
Yeah, there is a fee. No
problem.
problem.
We have
Brazil.
more people in the US.
no
Maybe not in the
way.
US.
In Brazil they pay, in
Canada?
Poland they pay.
Gina,
UK is
Peggy, do you pay if you haven't accepted? I've never gotten charged. Zero.
So you
For
order
sure.
a clean check, but you don't order the aligners?
You order the clean check, if you don't accept, you never
If
pay
you
for
don't
that.
order the manufacturing, they don't charge.
Maybe it depends of the client.
They don't charge.
Client who are in
They don't charge in US.
They don't charge in
In
West.
Australia, they don't charge as well in Australia. They charge.
I might have
No,
said.
no, Alistair, I think they charge you.
Interesting, huh?
I didn't know that.
So we're back to Barto's problem. They charge in Poland.
Alistair,
I would not be
I think they charge in
no problem
Australia.
at all.
Huh?
Yeah, it would be
Yeah, I
better.
think so, yeah. Yeah, it's about 200. I'm sure they charge in Australia.
Not for the US for
Yeah,
sure.
they do,
I think their
100%.
acceptance rates are so high that you don't even know what is presenting and not selling.
Yeah, I've never had one.
But anyway,
I know
Bartos,
they
if
charge.
you think that the chance of patient not accepting ortho would be very small, this is an option. I would go for a clean check anyways, because clean check is very, very powerful to sell also, to explain, you know, so
Now,
that's an
of course,
option.
Itero has ortho
I know,
simulator, the outcome
Itero has.
simulator, but it's still not, it's not the same. We know, as you learn how to present ortho with the DSD overlap, we
You don't have a
understand,
link.
we understand the story, right?
So, Francis, just a question. When you used to order your ortho collaboration, I've got a beautiful case where the patient wanted to see a DSD post-orthodontic simulation. And I did the case, I did a mock-up for it based on the STL, and it was identical to the final clean check and final finish case. Can you still do that now? If someone wants to see it?
I didn't quite understand.
Like the idea.
Yeah, I've got, I was doing a Dsd collaboration case. With that, along that came the orthodontic simulation in Nemo, which I used to do a mock-up, which the patient.
But the mock-up doesn't go over the ortho simulation. You cannot do a mock-up.
Yeah,
The mock-up,
I can show you the presentation, of course we
No, no,
can.
no.
it's the smile design over the ortho
It's
simulation.
the, yes,
It's the design.
And an ideal pose.
it's the ideal post that goes over the, no, it's not the ideal post. It's
No, because it
the
doesn't fit.
adapted
You
ideal
did the-
design over the actual situation of the patient.
Yeah,
No, but you-
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
But
not
if
the
it's the,
mock-up.
yeah, but you can use that as a mock-up.
Yes, you still have
Yes,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, but that was a powerful tool.
That
that
comes-
using the
Yes,
exact
yeah,
teeth.
that's
We're not
why-
talking restorative,
Ah,
exact
okay,
teeth.
the same from the, it's the autodonator.
Yes, this is
We're
what I
talking
was-
about autodonator. Okay,
Yeah, that's
yes,
right,
you
yeah.
still can have it.
Yeah, that's
If
the
you-
best.
If you send a case and you say this case will not
Like
have
this.
restorations,
This is for people to understand. It's a motivational design with the own teeth of the patient over the pre-existing situation of the patient. So you generate
No,
a
but
pre-op markup.
the full plan and design will be with the patient's team, ideal and motivation. So you only have to write on the chat, this case will not have restorations, please use
Yeah,
the autodonator option.
yeah, because for me, this is
So
amazing.
We're gonna create a library from his own teeth and design the case using his own teeth. And generate the file.
Similar as if you were straightening up the teeth.
Yeah, so I've got a case where, well, I think I showed in the post where I did that, the mock-up and the final
No,
were
it's still there.
virtually identical.
Yeah, this option is still an option. Okay, let me see. Just well, this is. Can I go through fast here? This is how you guys were seeing the clean check until now, right? So whenever you receive clean check, you're activating the DSD tools on top, and picture, DSD design will come through, and you will do the modifications, right? Followed by our design. So that's the big thing, right? So this is, of course, we cannot imagine not having this anymore, and DSD and Invisalign will not exist if we don't have this anymore, right? So what I'm gonna show you right now, it's just an intermediate thing that we're gonna have to do until May, Because since we were having the problems that I mentioned to you, we detected some problems on this alignment. Okay, we detected problems on whenever we
The light blue model and the teeth of the patient.
whenever we were seeing this, right? This, we saw that this was different from what we've planned on our moment on Nemotech. So, of course, I got like this. What? My hair was like. And those were one of the main reasons why a team of 7 people from Invisalign came here this week. And we were discussing deeply how to solve this, to be perfect. And then they told me that they needed some time. So then I told him, okay, so what I say to my clients when I detect a discrepancy, and they will say like, I don't know. And I say, okay, so let's do this. I cannot, in any possibility or way, allow this to continue, because if something gets to you and there's a discrepancy, the ortho will be misguided, right?
Yeah.
So it's worse than having nothing. You agree with me?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, until May, we're gonna have to remove this from CleanCheck. Okay? So then I was thinking, okay, so what I do to still keep going with the collaboration somehow, because I don't want to stop and neither do them. They were like, we cannot stop with this. And I know, I don't want to stop. So we're brainstorming, and then since now, thanks God, we have TPS. So what we're gonna do, let me jump to the next
So
slide.
that means that Dsd Invisalign workflow activating TPS is mandatory.
Yes.
Okay.
So now TPS got even more important. Okay? So what we're
More
gonna
than
do?
important, mandatory.
Mandatory. Okay.
That's
Absolutely everything.
This shows you how to.
absolutely mandatory.
So
It's mandatory.
It's mandatory. It's like
So when you enter your CleanCheck, you're gonna check the case, same way, you can check it before sending to us, you don't need to send it directly. You can see, take a look, the same way. Of course, here you see there's no DSD inside, so you're gonna cry a little bit. I'm crying with you, but it's just for a little while, okay? Then, here, you see on the top here, that's where you select TPS. This is in Portuguese. It's Daniel's account, so that's why it's Serviço de Plano de Tratamento. Okay, so when you pinch this, you can write a comment, whatever you want. We're gonna ignore that, but no, we can't. Anything you want. This case will come to us. So this is the TPS platform from our side. This is how we see all the cases. We receive a notification. We enter this platform. We enter the case. Okay. We see the comments. We can see all the RX, right? All the records, pictures, X-rays, the prescription. We can see everything from you. And of course, we're gonna enter CleanCheck. So what we're gonna do now to still make this guided by DSD, we're gonna export those files. So CleanCheck allows you to export pre and post ortho STL files. Okay, so we're gonna export those STL files. Let me know if anyone don't understand this. Okay, so we export the STL files and we upload into our software. Nemotech. Okay? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna overlap this information with our previous information, the design and everything. And we will quality control. You see here, we create, so there we go. So we have our own little CleanCheck inside Nemotech.
Renato was doing.
Okay? We're gonna quality control. And after seeing this, so we still suggest, we see the color code, we see where we're suggesting restorations, everything. Then we go back to CleanCheck And with Nemotech in one screen, CleanCheck on the other, we will make the necessary modifications.
So it's still manually done.
Right, eventually, that was the word. Eventually, we believe that we don't. Nobody knows nothing about how it's going to be the relationship between Eextraction. We have some assumptions, right? Probably yes.
So actually what you have is the Dsd project in one software and the tooth movement on a different software. So we need to export from CleanCheck, import to Nemotech, overlap, check the transparency. If we need to modify, we go back to CleanCheck, we make modifications. If we are not sure, we export again into Nemotech, check again until it's perfect the way it was supposed to be in CleanCheck, and then we approve the CleanCheck. What is the good news? Of course, the bad news is that until May, you're not going to be able to see all these Dsd tools inside CleanCheck, but the good news is that, like this, suddenly, the Dsd Invisalign becomes perfect. Tomorrow. All the problems are solved with more work on our side. We need to go back in and out, in and out, in and out. But the image that you saw on Nemotech, on the real CleanCheck export over the real Dsd project is the perfect match that Nemotech allows. So we can perfectly say this is where we want to be. So now the Dsd Invisalign workflow is a much better workflow starting next week, okay? And then in May, we have the best workflow with the best possibility of viewing the workflow, everything inside CleanCheck again. And then our team, much easier, we're gonna work only inside CleanCheck.
So everything is working towards your Nemotech Ortho Gold Standard simulation.
No, so the ortho, the initial Dsd suggestion of ortho in Nemotech is a starting point.
Is your starting?
Is a starting point, but it's not necessarily the best ortho because CleanCheck software has a whole volume of algorithms and it's a much better orthodontic software that will say Nemotech is cool, but it's not realistic, it's not biomechanically possible, it's too risky, it's too that. So artificial intelligence on CleanCheck is allowing us to make the ortho suggestion in CleanCheck much more realistic and better quality.
But wouldn't it be less facially driven if you are you contradicting where you
facial
said
driven doesn't come from the ortho movement. Facial driven comes from the Dsd project, the blue transparency that that it's only moving from inside CleanCheck for a moment back to Nemotech, but the overlap is there and the tooth movement is completely facial driven. Because we are checking the movement inside Nemotech overlap to the Dsd project.
So much more work from our side, but we can guarantee that the ortho will be guided by Dsd.
Yes.
I'm in my Invisalign infancy, and so the conversation that I had with an orthodontist recently when we were talking about the TPS concept was the biologic reality, which is really what the algorithms within CleanCheck are allowing for compared with the ideal Nemotech TPS guided design. So I guess my question, and maybe we can talk about this at the party with those who are much more experienced, is how often does biology limit your ability to create the ideal Dsd design in ortho?
So ortho.
So therefore, what is the point? If there is a limitation, therefore, what is the point of a Dsd guided design in the first place when experienced orthodontic people would know that biology is going to be a limitation anyway?
So I will start answering and then Francis, Tatiana, our ortho team can jump in and even Kenji and the others. What I can tell you is that every ortho software has zero biomechanics principle. You can move teeth like that, right? Completely unrealistic. Or Invisalign software is probably one of the only ones that is actually bringing reality and kind of limiting and raising yellow flags and raising flags, showing this is not realistic. And as technology evolves, this is going to become better and better and better. So today, there's a lot of information already in it.
The techniques and procedures on how we do ortho also evolves a lot. So,
Danielle, maybe you can help us.
For example, a guy that does SFOT, it's a completely different ortho than someone that doesn't. So it depends on the tools and the techniques that each one uses also, right?
Andrea, as Christian mentioned, virtually we can do everything. So the team behind the TPS is not only experiencing clean check, but also treating patients, correct? So the idea is to use collective intelligence to create secure and predictable protocols for you to feel safe using it. Of course, it's going to be considered all biological boundaries, okay? And when indicated, we can suggest some auxiliary therapies, techniques.
It's still digital orthodontic software is still the exact same thing that we used to do on models, cutting the dies and moving, doing ortho setups on models, complete freedom, whatever, and it's your know-how that is giving the biomechanical limitations of the case.
When we send the design direct to you, overlapped, it's there, right? So where is the teeth and where we are suggesting to be? Of course, we are following some parameters also, but we have so many clients, and each client has his own parameters, and that's what this is interesting. We just made this, and probably the ones that sent cases this month received this. This is what we did is we are asking you to give to us your preferences, okay? So we want to fine tune what we are doing when we are planning the case. So there are doctors that probably will hit wrap me line up to 4 millimeters. There's some others that will do no. This is in general, okay? This is general information for every single case. Okay, so we only need to send this once. So you're putting your limitations here, your orthodontist limitations. Okay, so if you hit 1 millimeter there, we're never going to suggest on the design a correction of 3 millimeters. But maybe a doctor uses SFOT or whatever, so he can put anterior or extrusion or intrusion, posterior intrusion up to 4 millimeters. How can I do that? I don't know. He's telling me he can do it.
Is this for each
I'm not the one to judge.
Yes,
okay?
each case.
This is up to communication.
Have
We
a
need to do
customizing the software
to feel.
These are things that you need to really think. This questionnaire really needs to
When
think.
you receive
Because
the
you're
final
setting
presentation,
limitations,
there is the
and it's not
PDF.
specifically for
When
one
go
case.
to
You are saying
Invisalign case.
to move body movement, the two centrals and the full arch more than 3 millimeters makes no sense to me, or I don't have the technique, or I don't have the skills, so don't even go there, right? So it's just to give some parameters. Of course, we can change
No,
case by
there's
case.
a specific case that you tell us specific instructions that doesn't follow this. Of course, we're gonna follow this, but in general, we're gonna be always, whatever reaches the case from anyone of you, we're gonna open this document, you send to us, we're gonna design the case, follow this. Okay? So this is new also.
We need to show our options, like SFOT,
Once, until you change any technique. So whatever you change, you can send it again. I sent it again because now I'm using Propel. I'm using SFOT or whatever. Okay?
Are we going to have the possibility to add quality control final with Invisalign?
Yes, quality control is always an option, anytime. It doesn't depend on Invisalign, anything. You can, anytime you want, you can scan your patient at the middle, at the end, send to us, we overlap, we compare, we send to you the images, and you decide. Continue ortho, stop, it's enough, fine tune.
Change the path.
Quality control is always an option.
Carla, yes.
Will it be, it's okay, will it be on the clincher? Will we be able to see what for the quality, you know how we can see at the beginning?
Not for now, unfortunately. In the future,
Of course, you have quality control inside the clincher. You have
this is something that
case assessment,
But
right?
not with your test.
Not with the Dsd project,
not with the
right? But theoretically, if you already compared your final outcome with Dsd, and every aligner is moving towards that, if you're on aligner 27, and you do the case assessment, and it's following your plan, theoretically you're inside the Dsd project.
Right, but sometimes in the middle, you might want to change strategy.
Definitely, yes. So that's,
no, this is something on the loop
it's
for
gonna
sure.
happen.
For
You will
this
be
year.
able to activate Dsd and the face at any given moment into the treatment inside the clincher.
Let me see if there's just quickly, I want to show you that's the actual presentation. Ooh, that's big.
Oh, that's a big slide.
Because yes, the format of our presentation is not 1 by 3, right? So So that's the new presentation, the Dsd Invisalign, the new branding.
Actually, every presentation.
Yeah, every single presentation has this new, you want to talk? This new layout.
Yeah.
This is better or no? Can you? Yeah, yes.
Now it's
We
better.
just updated the presentation, as you can see, according to our brand refreshment.
We
So,
added this.
Our Brandon refresh.
You're
And they their team did.
For those who live in US, North America, I know it's obvious, but we added this because our communication is always under FTI, under FTI.
Sorry, Americans, but the most obvious one, right?
Have we got an example of
So
this
you
already?
guys got confused, we got
Carla's
confused,
already
whatever.
learning,
So,
right?
okay, to help you guys. Okay. That's just showing the workflow, the sequence of each case. Okay, so I know if you remember before we had 4 steps and now we have 3 because we don't have the ortho simulation anymore. Sorry,
Bartos. It's coming back.
Christian's not gonna. Sorry.
Patient's the older, sorry.
Okay, so again, design
I
the
have
same
some
way.
connections.
It didn't change anything on this part, okay? So ideal design, pre, post, okay? Occlusal. I know, Carla, you're gonna mention something, but okay, you can say. You can.
Yeah, so this is a restorative case.
No, but she wants to mention an image that I took out. I'm sure she will.
Is this a restorative?
So, you wanna mention that, Carla?
No.
Transparency? You hear my hand?
I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, we like the. Did you take
You see that you don't have. I know Christian will say no.
No.
Don't worry, Carla. I'm gonna speak with Francis, but
If nobody has a comment, I have no comment.
Carla.
On ortho cases especially, the transparency tool, it's very messy.
No, it's not.
Some cases are clear, but many cases it's a complete disaster in terms of how you see them, right? Because sometimes many times you have teeth sticking out. So you have 2 models because you have to show the pink model, the blue model, and the design, and you have to play with the transparencies to show everything. And it's I can tell you, it's a mess. So for ortho cases, since the case is going to ortho, so you don't even need that level of precision. If it's a purely restorative case, it's different, I understand. You want to see the measure, you want to see crown lengthening exactly how much we are suggesting, right? And but the ortho, you're still going to have to do ortho. And then after ortho, then you're going to redo the design, and then we're going to fine tune and go into details. So it was causing much more confusion than helping. That's why I certainly did not convince Carla about this, but yes, I know. Okay, so a design of another thing, I almost forgot. We included the lower design on all these Invisalign cases. Okay? That's another, for you guys to get a little happier. Okay? So every single case will have the lower design also. Okay? So up and lower. Yes, the markup always. No, lower we usually don't send unless you ask, because I don't know. We can, but you know, lower markups are usually not necessary because the patient doesn't show in the picture, the emotional picture doesn't appear. So it's up to you to decide. Some patients they do, but as a rule, we don't send it. Okay. Okay. So motivational there every time. Okay. And what we are doing, which I think it's interesting. I like this. I think it's very helpful to explain the patient. Besides the color code that stays, that we think it's very powerful, we didn't take it out, okay? We included this. I know it's very simple, very basic, but I think it helps somehow to explain the patient some of the movements, some of the movements that will need to be done on different views. So that's not an ortho simulation. It's the ideal design over the actual situation of the patient, but it's to help communicate more than anything else, okay? And we included this also, comparison between the class, right? Actual one and ideal suggested outcome. I know the orthodontists, they love this. They always want to see, no, it's class 1, class 2, class whatever. So we added this information also.
What's class
At
1?
any time,
What's class 1? Class 2?
This you go to the index.
Yeah.
At any time, at any slide that you have, presentations are getting longer. If you get here, you go back to the index slide.
Yeah.
Let's go from class 1 to class 2.
Of course, here you also have, let me go back. You see here on the bottom, this
There's
is
a link.
link to our website where explains TPS. Okay, so if you have doubt, you click here, you go to the TPS part, and you have information. Okay, and that's it. Let me see. Oh, the library. Let's talk a little bit about the library. Different topic. Different topic.
Okay, so
Clear here? Any questions regarding this?
look at
Because once I know it's going to be generated and it's guided.
Everything that you like about
Then I
it, pick
do
it up.
movements that I took to get there. My way.
Marcos, you need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to, no? You're too, no?
Looking.
You need to. Marcos, you know we have our thing, right?
It's,
Don't worry. Okay. Hold on.
Make it smaller. Yep, that's good, that's good, that's good. Yep.
Wait, borra. Imagino que sea una
I've got 3 cases with Invisalign here. I don't want to put this time.
We can't hear. We can't hear.
Yeah, put it closer.
So is there any option that when you have the movements of the teeth that you know exactly if you can check
Ten, line? This is inside clean check. So you want to let me know exactly where you want to end up this?
I think I got it.
If you can tell us, because we're going to
Oh, in which aligner the teeth will be already?
yeah, ready for the engineer. So I don't spend more time final teeth going to the correct.
And that's clean. That will be done inside clean check.
That's the same as well. Let's say you're on a liner 40 and you were supposed to go to 50 whatever. If you scan your patient at a liner 40.
No, but I want to know before I ask for a case. Sometimes I can ask for a light, not for a full. You tell me, okay, you only need 10 liners.
Yeah, that says on TPF. That's what I'm saying. Whenever we design the case, we're gonna define this. So we are designing the case, and whenever the case goes to clean check, and us with TPS, we're gonna play with that, and up until okay, those 2 centers. Since we know they will have veneers, they only have to go until here, and you will agree with us here. Here. So that's the final position of the centrals. You can even continue some other teeth, but those 2 centers, whenever they reach this position, which is the line 7, 8, 10, whatever, we're not going to move those 2 centers.
Because I am trying out.
Yeah,
So
but
this is
what he's asking is a compromise
There's
situation.
nothing new, right?
Compromise
The
situation.
wheel has
So
been invented, but
you
we're
have the
doing
ideal orthodontic treatment,
quite an
but then
amount
you
of
say, okay,
cases
but
now where we are
how good I
actually
can get with
placing the veneers
1920?
before doing
And
Invisalign.
is 1920 good enough?
So we're
I
placing
know
the
that is
veneers
ideal, I
sometimes
know
with
what is ideal,
shifted
but
position,
is this good
looking to
enough
move
for me to
with
do
the
the
aligners
lasers?
at the end.
Yes, so
And
with
we're
TPS,
seeing that
we
we're
can
managing
do
to shorten.
the
What
best
do you
movement
think about
possible
this?
with 20
Because of
aligners,
course we cannot use
export
any
into
packets, or
Nemotec,
we cannot
compare
add
to the
anything
design and have a
over
clear
there.
vision
Very
if that is
important
good enough
thing is,
for decent veneers, or
maintenance
if it's
stage.
going to have limitations that will impact the aesthetic outcome and then we're going to
Here is very easy because the long-term stability is very important.
can downgrade.
Which is better, good occlusion, a stable
But you want to make that
occlusion,
decision in
and a
the
good
class. I
anterior
understand.
guidance, then you
So
can
you want to
decide.
compare ideal ortho.
You know
Yeah,
what,
but inside
what we're seeing is
investment needs to be
that
done inside clinch.
I've had many
You cannot,
cases
you
where
cannot decide this
actually this is
before you go
maybe
into
a
clinch.
bit too much of
Only
a
clinch will
business
tell you
point of
how many
view, but I've
aligners
had
you
many
need.
cases that were planned in Invisalign and finishing with
And
microveneers,
then
for
downgrade.
example.
So you
That when
can
we reached the
transform a
end of
comprehensive
Invisalign,
into a light,
we
into
actually,
an express.
the patient said, I don't want the veneers anymore. I mean, it's respectable, and of course there's nothing you can do about it. And I am finding now that I prefer
how many aligners we need to get
placing
there before we go to
veneers,
clinch.
reaching the end with Invisalign, and if it's necessary, I'd much rather change a veneer or two to reach my final goal than missing out on the opportunity. And I also see that motivationally, the patient is happy immediately. Because the veneers I can have ready in a week.
Okay, before you have, no, you have, yeah.
Faster,
Before you
much
order
faster.
the
They're happy. They see their new whiter teeth, and then we're kind of trying the waters with this. And I wanted to hear, an opinion of a eminence in alignment movement. What are the
Changing
limitations
topics,
once we have the
just
final
very quick
restorations
topic
on?
here, okay? This is another thing that we're working on. We actually want your help with that. We actually want to see if we can take this to the next level. This is tooth selection for smile design. Today we have basically 9 files that we use for 99% of the cases. And as we know, it's not about volume. We could have 1 million files and it's not going to make a difference. With a few files you can design almost every smile.
Everybody
But
wants to more step up.
even though we know that volume doesn't mean quality, we want to grow a little bit the library. Not only grow the library, but give a little bit of meaning
2 years
to
ago,
this process of selection. So what we're doing is we are dividing the shapes of our library into 3 groups: oval, triangular, and rectangular, the basic ones that everybody knows. But also by age. This is something that I believe is cool because back to my opening lecture about going back to nature, designing things that look natural. Of course, that if a lady is 60 years old, coming to you for a full mouth rehabilitation, maybe she wants to look younger, so you can go back 10 years, 15 years, and give 45 years old teeth looking, and it's going to look amazing. But usually the libraries in all the softwares are pure 100% super young, full of texture, because people think that that is beautiful. But we do all-in-4s for people that are 75 years old, right? What about if we have a file that has very natural, slight abrasions with canines that are a little bit not pointy, or not centrals that are not like super young centrals and so on, more adequate embrasures and so on. So what we're gonna do is divide in 3, okay? Young teeth, mid-age, and senior. So senior, we're saying, let's say, teeth that are actually 40, 50 years old that could fit.
I'm sorry.
We are, no, but I'm saying, because otherwise they will not select. They will not select. Nobody's gonna select this. I want to tell you that.
Alistair will select. You had a case that you just asked it for this kind of thing. Remember this past week, I think.
Yeah, last week.
It was a 04 older guy that he asked it to imperfections.
No, you bring this in a I see denture. This is the denture look. You have a person that is 75 with a denture that looks like this, right? Instead of being able to look how nice, be able to give something like this. So we want to take teeth, maybe 40, 50, 60 years old, still beautiful, because we have few people out there with amazing teeth. And this is the teeth that we want here, and then we're going to divide into oval, triangular, rectangular. Then you're going to have mid-age, and you're going to have the young ones, okay? So you will all receive this. We are working on finding, we don't have all the files.
Yeah.
We have the middle ones, right?
No, we have all these files.
No, these we all have. So what is
we
this
are
black?
constructing a bigger library.
What is the black line?
Is the triangular?
Oval, triangular,
okay.
rectangular. Yeah, so it's by age and by
shape.
So
yes, this is mid-age, see?
I'm senior.
I was nice to him.
I have. big abrasion and erosion.
So you are there, right? You saw it?
I'm mid-age. Thank you, Tatiana.
See how nice I am to you?
This is just good politics, right? Because my teeth can easily be here. A lot of abrasion. But anyway, we need to improve. You see, we want at least 2 per category. 2 per category.
You're
Jack
still
is here.
young.
Yeah, you're so young.
Jack is young.
That is
Yes.
there.
I'm gonna win the prize of young then.
So what are we asking you guys? If you have a patient that is 50, 60, 70 years old and have beautiful natural teeth, if
With defects, little things,
Yeah.
right? Beautiful natural.
beautiful natural teeth, if you want and you can scan the patient, send us the file, and we can grow the categories that are not filled up. Okay?
And just make sure some of those are not yet available. We are working to finalize the new ones. Probably a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Anytime,
Yes.
if you find anytime, you can send to us.
We can
evaluate.
always. What we don't want is to have 10 on each because
it's
it's
crazy.
messy to pick. Makes no sense. A face photo, smile, and an intraoral nice scan, right?
The scan needs to be in high definition.
Yeah, the scan.
Definition scan. And what we're gonna do is that even if we have already 2 here, if yours is better, we take one out and we bring yours, right?
This is under construction, and since whenever we have this ready, we'll send to you as a small menu, so you can choose, whenever you order the case, you can choose in advance the teeth you want, the library you want. I think it's nice to share with the patient also, so we avoid modifications on the library.
We want to stimulate you all every time you order. Of course, if you have no clue or you want to leave it open for us to pick according to our experience, okay? But if you look at the menu and you see something that you think is going to be perfect, you are free to pick. You can pick and say, please do it with this one. Or you can pick and say, I suggest this one, but if you don't agree, try a different one. Or I have no clue, pick whatever you guys want.
Yeah, we'll ask
We will
Ralph
then
to add to
add
it, so
this
we
to
can
the ad
let you know.
as well, yeah. Okay? So just to let you know, you're gonna receive these images and you're gonna have this menu when you order the kits. Okay? Jackie?
It's me or Angelo?
Jump straight on it? Huh? Angelo only has 3 slides, that's good. So Jackie is gonna cover 2 topics, short but very important topics. Lupita?
It's cold. Jesús, pregúntale a Cristian lo de la foto grupal ahora. Para que empiece ya aquí un momento para ver la numeración.
Okay, I can see some alcohol coming in. Well, completely authorized.
Can I start?
Yo.
No?
Go.
Go. Good. So, it's a very pleasure for me to be here and share a little thing of what we do in Well Clinic and what with our team there we were able to develop, because I face some struggles that many of you are facing. That is to implement the DSD workflows in the clinic, especially the first and second appointment. Because it's not only digitalize the patient, send to planning center, and then have a file to present to our patients. Saying like this seems easy, but actually we discovered doing that we have many steps. And that was the problem and the difficulty to make it happen, to make it real. So when I started implementing, I faced those three special topics that without it, we couldn't make it. So the first thing is to have a DSD coordinator. Before I entered into Well Clinic, it was impossible to implement because there was nobody taking care of all the steps to make it happen. So most of the times the second appointment appears and the mocap wasn't ready. It was still in the lab finishing. The silicone index was making, it was not ready, or the final presentation was not ready. So what Robert many times had to do, improvise. So and he's good improvising, but he left the digital outside because he's
too good. That's the
yes, he's very good doing this. But then he was doing his way that it was not following our project. And we were investing because we pay for the planning center, we receive everything, we invested printing the model, but the final presentation was done without anything because we were not ready. The steps, we didn't have one to take care. Another thing, get your team on board. While we didn't have everybody with the same thinking, with the same language, knowing what DSD is, knowing why this is important for our patient, while we didn't have this, we couldn't implement. So, and this is not only about dentists, especially the base team, your receptionist, your concierge, the guy that have your patients inside, that get the cars. Everybody needs to know what is happening inside your clinic. Once we achieved that, then we were able to implement the DSD philosophy. And this is not a one thing to do just one time. It's a continuous process. Why? Because our concepts, they are developing, so we always have new things. And also sometimes our team changes. Sometimes members of our team needs to move, needs to leave, and then you are with a new one and you have to do it again, okay? Also, make the DSD first and second appointment easier. While those two appointments are complicated, you will not get your team on board and this will not happen. So it needs to be with a fast equipment, needs to be everybody, it's like a ensayo, rehearse. You need to do this with your team. Save one morning, one Saturday, have a breakfast. Actually, we did this in the Well Clinical show. And practice everything, where you're gonna go, where the assistant needs to be standing, what she needs to do every step. They write it down. And this is what we actually are doing, the Dsd coordinator, to make your life easier, because we are helping, we're trying to help to teach your staff members to do this with you, okay? So this was the first thing that we needed to separate, to have very clear the difference. Who is the visionary of your practice and who is the Dsd coordinator? Those two figures, they are important, but they do different things. The visionary probably is all of you that are here. They are searching for new things. They want to implement new things. You're thinking ahead. You're thinking about the company. But you, when you are in the company, you are treating patients. You are with your agenda completely full. You enter 8 a.m. in the morning, you left 6, 7 p.m. in the night, and you don't have time to do the backstage things. So you need a Dsd coordinator. So while you are thinking about your business, while you are treating and caring for your patients, you have someone making everything happen, okay? If you are a small practice and you're studying, for a period of time, you can do both. But you see that even if in a small practice, if you have someone doing, everything will go smooth and probably it will be easier to implement, okay? What we want to do now is to concern about this step, that is the between. So you have the first appointment. I want to just share with you one thing that we did in Well Clinic to make easier the first appointment, that is to prepare a video for our patients, and they receive this in the WhatsApp or email before they enter into the first appointment. So they are ready to know what is going to happen, all the pictures, everything, okay? This also made our first appointment easier. Have people willing to help, everybody's prepared. Everybody knows what is going to happen, and we designed some strategies to do this that most of you, I already shared in the residency what we do in Well Clinic. Let's go fast to after first appointment. So after you get your medical history of your patient, you did your interview, you have your patient digitalized, you had your clinical exam, you did a smile simulation. Now what to do with everything? This is what happens. Let me pass this. So now is where we're gonna enter. When I was starting, we didn't have that many cases. I was being able to manage everything when I started as a Dsd coordinator, everything in my head. I could manage everything. The name of the patient, what I needed to do, where the files were, if I have already sent to the planning center, if I had received back the planning, I saved in my mind. But as the time goes by, the cases increased, I was failing because it's impossible to control. So with Robert, and really I had his help on doing this because he really likes to have process of everything. So he seated with me and said, Jackie, you need to design a process. And I say, okay, let's do it. It's not my area, but what I do when the patient arrives. The first thing that the Dsd coordinator will do for me is to build an initial template. What is the purpose of it? I need to have a clear view of the patient, very fast, to tell to the Dsd coordinator what I want him to do with everything. So sometimes I didn't do the first appointment, it was Robert, or you have another dentist that does the first appointment, but you are the clinical coordinator. You are the one that will control what's going to happen with all the cases. So you need to give a direction. So I designed a very fast organization, these photos, so I can see, and in 5 minutes or less, I already know what I need to tell to my Dsd coordinator what she needs to do. So this is the first thing that she does. She organizes, and then she sent to me. She sent to me by WhatsApp. That is what I really use to make everything easier for me, or you can use email or Dropbox. But in this WhatsApp, what she does, she sent to me this organization, and then I give to her direction. Send to the planning center and tell Tati and her team that we are thinking about ortho. The patient is open to as many procedures as we think we need, or the patient already told us that ortho for him is completely out of the scenario, but if Tati thinks that it's good, we may talk to the patient, but try another solution, so I give direction. It's also here that I can tell to my Dsd coordinator, tell them to use this type of shape of the teeth, everything that she will type on the observations in the website of the planning center is here that I tell her what to do, okay? Because this is clinical decision. Your Dsd coordinator will not do this, okay? And then the Dsd coordinator will send the case to the planning center, and they will choose one of those 5 services. That is the planning services. 4, sorry. And in Well Clinic, I only choose Dsd and Invisalign when I know it's clear that the case is only ortho and restorative. If I have any doubt, I will choose interdisciplinary planning. We decided to do this because it made our life easier on the presentation. We had more tools to talk to our specialists, and also the selling part was much easier, and so that's why we choose to do it, okay? But I tell the Dsd coordinator what to order. It's the dentist that will tell the Dsd coordinator. So you are understanding that the Dsd coordinator is doing the hard part, but the decisions, it's the clinical coordinator that does, it's the dentist, okay? In our case, and I know that many of you have a CBCT scanner in your office, so this step can be done in the same appointment, the first one. But if you don't have, for example, in my case, in Brazil, it's not that easy to have one. So I order to a place that is very close to our clinic. It's very organized. To the patient goes, they send me the files, but they took 1 to 2 days to send me back. And I don't want to lose time. So while the patient is going to do the CBCT, I already ordered to the planning center what I want, because the planning center is already designing the ideal. Then you will use the CBCT to try the treatments, to make the planning of ortho or implants, but they don't need it to start designing, so I'm saving time, okay? But when the image is with us, we send to the planning center.
So important here is, and Jackie will show the table afterwards,
Yes.
right? That is the key that she...
I'm just explaining
yeah,
the steps.
No, it's perfect. We can share what she's going to show afterwards because it's the key. This is a customized workflow that you can start from here. I think it's an amazing work that is done here that you can start from here. But according to your dynamics, according to your structure, according to your equipment, according to your staff, you may have some different steps or less steps or more steps, okay? So starting from here, adapt to your workflow. What is important is to really sit down with somebody that is very good with implementation of processes. Some people are not good at all to think the process, because when you look like this, it looks obvious and easy. But when you have nothing to sit down and create a process, can be very confusing. So sit down with somebody. If you don't have processing skills, sit with somebody that has process and say, look, this is where we start, this is where we end. What needs to happen? A cascade of steps that need to happen to get to the second appointment with what we have, and then work backwards into the steps, define the steps, right?
And the timeline, the limit
The
of
timing.
time.
The timing for each step. Realistic timing for each step.
That in our case, we design 10 days. Until 10 days, I need to do my second appointment. And then I divided those things into those 10 days to make everything happen. So this will have to, you will have to adapt in your situation. And what is important is we teach this all to your Dsd coordinators when you send them to us in our Dsd coordinator course. But when they arrive to your clinic back, you need to sit down just 1 hour, and then you will define the steps for your situation and the days, okay? We are giving the path, yes. And then we go to the 5th step, that is clinical.
So this step, if you have a CBCT in-house, the steps disappear because it's the first appointment part. Everything already goes to the planning center.
Yes. And then everything will come back to in the web, the final proposal of the planning, the treatment plan that the Dsd is gonna give us, and then your Dsd coordinator has to download the presentation and send to you so you can approve. It's not you that's going to do this. You're gonna receive in your cell phone, and while you're in Uber going back home, you just see, approve, okay. And then when she has your answer back, then she will,
Another thing that I suggest is that each step, you should sit down and outline bullet points of everything is inside this step. For example, number 5 means really like Dsd for Dummies. Step number 1, go online to dsdplanningcenter.com. Find the patient's page, open page number 2, click on presentation, download presentation, share presentation on WhatsApp with clinical coordinator. So 5 steps under the step number 5.
Yes.
So if you lose an employee, if somebody leaves and somebody else comes, just give the book and say, this is what you need to do, follow the steps.
Mm-hmm. And then the Dsd coordinator will make sure that or your model with the silicone index is ready or your shell is printed for the second appointment section. This is the 7th step. After I have the treatment plan done with the planning center, that is the time that I put my team of specialists on to work. Why? Because in my case, and I'm sure that your experience the same, the specialists, they have so many things to do. Sometimes they work in so many offices, they don't have time to lose. So when I want his opinion, I send to them the planning, the direct question, and they give me the direct answer in 5 minutes or less. If I give them just x-rays and, look, give my opinion, what do you think about implants in this case? You have to open the x-rays, open the pictures, think. They don't know where you want to go. They don't know the final ideal project. So it makes it difficult for him to answer to you, and maybe they will take more time to give your answer. So that is why I do like this. And also through WhatsApp, they answer me. Sometimes they record audios. That's enough for my Dsd coordinator, okay? She will collect all these opinions and put in the presentation for me, that is the clinical coordinator, so I can design the final treatment plan with the inputs of the specialist.
So step number 7 is actually a big step because you already downloaded the presentation, right? You already send the project because Smile Design is approved. Treatment plan is not approved. So to speed up the process, you already asked the lab to manufacture.
Yes, this won't change.
Yeah. And then here, 7 means looking at the presentation, you as a clinical director, asking yourself the questions that are unanswered, sharing pieces of the videos to the specific doctor so you don't bother them with unnecessary information, straight to the point, questions to each one of them, get the feedback that may come with modifications. They may say that this initial implant simulation there is not what we need to do, and then you change completely the strategy. This step 7 means going back to the planning center and asking the planning center to modify the plan. Modify the ortho, modify the implant, modify the crown lengthening, modify the bite, modify whatever is necessary to get a second presentation with new videos, and then share again with the specialists, get their approval, everybody on board, this is what I'm going to present to the patient, and then step 7 ends.
That's why the step 7, it happens some days before the presentation, because I am already counting on this, that I need to do some changes, okay? Yes, I can. You can modify as many times as you want. Even if you sell the case, but now I want a little change. You just type in the web and they will change. No, you can accept. They will change if necessary. I'm not saying wrong, right, Tati?
No,
You can change
anytime.
anytime you want. Okay? Sometimes I'm doing the mock-up, the patient loves everything, but said, look, I would like just a different form. Can we change? And then we change and test again. Now it's another mock-up that I'll do, a technical one, and we do changes, okay? And now, is this the time that I'm going to build the final motivational presentation? My Dsd coordinator does the standard. And then I will review before present. Because sometimes I feel I need to go, that slide that is not here, but it's going to be important for me to prove this point to my patient. So I will add. So this is the time that I customize, because it's me who's going to lecture for the patient. And I need to know my slides.
So
okay?
besides the emotional slides, all the other slides you can do before the patient comes.
I get everything ready before the second appointment. The only thing that I do in the second appointment is the before and after picture and video. That's why my second appointment doesn't last more than one half hour. 1.5 hours is if the patient has so many questions, and it's because of the patient, not because of me, okay? We need to think that because time is money, and our patient, they know that, so they want us to be very objective, okay? So this is what we already did, okay? These 9 and 10 steps, I also do in advance. I already have everything done, my contract and the consent term, explaining every step, every phase of the treatment, everything done in advance. Also the financial proposal. Of course, many of our interdisciplinary cases and complex cases, they can change during the treatment because we are dealing with people, patients. We need biological response. So that is why in Well Clinic, we divide the treatment in phases. We have the preparatory phase that is more biological. And the patient can do only this if he wants. That is most based on health. Then we have the complementary phase, is where we are going to change, increase vertical dimension, provisionals, but we stop in provisional. And then we have the restorative phase, that is when we change to ceramics. So the patient received the financial proposal of the first phase. And then every time that we're going to the next phase, we took pictures, we talked, look, you were here, now we are here, we need to go there. It's gonna cost this. So we have another conversation, another financial proposal, okay? This is for complex treatments. It's our way to do it.
It would be nice for you to share the two or three tips that you learned from Jess.
Yes.
That she actually didn't mention on her lecture, and I think were amazing.
Yes. So I watched Jess lecture in Miami for the first time in our course, and I was amazed about some tips. For example,
and you came back
and
in our office. Jackie's brother is the business manager of the office. So
he does the financial proposal and presentation. I leave the room until the solution journey. Then I leave. And then my brother comes to the financial journey. And the first tip, before the patient arrives to the second appointment, I already booked in my agenda some times, as the patient said yes.
Pretending the patient already accepted.
Yes.
We booked the appointments.
This makes all the clinical team on board in the energy of closing the deal. Because for us, this patient is already our patient. So changes the mindset, okay? I did it, and in the week, this is one thing that we did. 1 week we had 6 presentations, I nailed all of them. And I arrived, also some other thing that Jess said, arrives already picturing what you want. So I want to sell this case because it's going to be good for my patient. I want him to do it with us because I know what we can offer. Sometimes they will go to another, they will not have the same treatment. So I entered Well Clinic on Monday and I said, I have 6 cases, I'm going to sell 6 cases. And I start talking to everybody in the clinic. We have 6 cases this week, we're going to sell 6 cases. I saw everybody I was talking. And when I was entering to the second appointment, everybody, Jackie, sell this one. I said, like, then I was empowered to do it. So it was different how I was doing my second appointment. Another thing is when close the deal. For example, in Brazil, we have ways of payments. It's not all of our patients that have the completely amount. Sometimes they need to fraction the rest. And my brother, when he was presenting, he was saying, look, this treatment will cost that much, and we can do in those ways. He already said to the patient. But this is wrong because the patient didn't ask. So Jess said one thing, you're gonna say the price without changing your tone, eye contact, don't lose eye contact. And then you're gonna say the number. And then silent. Don't say nothing. The patient didn't ask. Wait for the patient. One common answer, and it happened. The patient said, but this is higher than I expected. And then you're gonna ask, how much did you expect it? And then the patient will say, 20,000 reais I was expecting. Your treatment was 50, for example. And then Jonathan would say, okay, so now your treatment will cost 30, and then I can fraction the rest in 3 times. Is it okay for you? Yes, it's okay. Why? Because we are giving a gift. He was not expecting. For him, the patient was, it's not possible for me. So it was a good surprise. Probably it will happen. And Jonathan did it, and it worked. He said that in the first case, the initial silence was very awkward for him. He couldn't help himself. But then the patient agreed and it worked. So those things that she said, really, we implemented and it worked. This is the deadline, okay? I can share with you this for sure. I designed this based on my reality in Well Clinic. But then this is what you need to sit with your Dsd coordinator when she arrives from our course, is to design this for your reality, okay? And then she will do this, sorry. Because we need to control. So I developed with our team in Well Clinic this Excel file. This one. So, in the first contact of the patient, after doing the first appointment, the patient says goodbye. The Dsd coordinator will go to the office, and then she will put here the date. Let's do one together. Okay, just one. What day is today? 7 March 2020. And then the name, Jacqueline Schneider. And then this is the date that she's going to organize all the files into the file of your patient. You probably save all the data of your patient in a digital file. So when the Dsd coordinator saved, she removes from the iPhone or from the camera and saved in the right place. She's gonna put the date that needs to be done in the first day. So here's the deadline for her to remember. So she will write here, copy, paste. And she did it. So this is going to be green. All the rest, building the template, get my orientation, she has to be done in the first day. But I always don't answer in the same day, because I am with patients, as you are. And then she couldn't get to me. And then she's gonna send to me through WhatsApp, and I'm gonna see in my way to home in my Uber. So for her, in the 7, it's not done. So it's red. Why this is important? Because in the next day, she's gonna do here, press the filter, and by color, she's gonna select the red. And then everything red that is not done will appear to her. And she will know exactly what to do each day. So that is how she won't lose what is going on, what is left to be done. This is with everything. To ask for the planning center, to have the approval of the planning center, print the mock-up, the inputs of all the specialists, the treatment plan design, the financial proposal, the consent term, the day of the presentation. These 2 other steps is after approval. Is when the patient is gonna enter into our clinic as our patient. So here is where I will design the script. This is not a job for a Dsd coordinator, but if she's very experienced, and it can happen with time of training, my attention got lost.
Continue, don't. Keep going, keep going.
I'm already thinking of the party, so now. So with time, probably your Dsd coordinator can design the main script. all the sections, all the procedures, who's gonna do, how many hours. This is what I designed. But this is with time, because this is clinical decision. I don't have yet a Dsd coordinator that does it for me. I'm training her, because my goal is just to check and say, right, wrong, correct this and this. Okay, but this is after clinical approval. Of course.
Carla, ¿quieres una copita?
I will achieve my best after one. Yes. Thank you.
That's the beauty of the Dsd team. We all got very drunk. At least once in front of everybody else, at least once. So everybody knows each other at that stage. It's a different type of relationship.
So guys,
I've been drinking since noon.
this is what I really wanted to share with you. The first and second appointment you all know and we discussed here, but this was a missing link because it was just doing that we discover all those steps, all the process. And your Dsd coordinators, they can be very well teach and
Beer, please.
it's gonna work, okay?
Thank you, Jackie. I think that's a great work.
Federico.
So let's jump straight to Angelo. Jackie's gonna get ready with the scanner because the topic is related. Angelo will give you the tricks to become a master on CAD/CAM restorations. And Jackie will prepare the scanner so she can show the tips as Angelo moves into his lecture.
She has more hair than me.
Really? Amazing. Everywhere? Yes.
It's amazing that after 10 years of teaching this process, how many things we are learning that needs to be done on the background to get the magic happening.
Well,
our final speaker.
Finally.
Woo. Angelo Rafael, more known in Brazil as Manguinha.
Little mango, like
little manga.
Like little mango.
We can explain later what is the meaning of the name.
So it's a very short lecture, just to try to help you with some things. I don't know if I can help you with something, but I will try. I'm very happy to be here. I have some clients of the lab here, and it's very useful to talk to you. So, let's go. Just to remember you, of course, you know all of this, the patient documentation, 3D planning, and patient validation with the model, right? So after that, we need to start with guided preparation. It's very important to keep the same design since the beginning. And this way we can deliver the final restoration exactly like we planned it with our design. Right? I will talk a little.
We have, of course, this is where I worked for 20 years, the lab, and now for me being able to go back and to the lab and start working on these cases, we understand that there's a couple reasons why CAD/CAM restorations don't work, or they don't fit, or they don't fulfill your expectations. One reason is just regular restorative reasons that with digital or without may happen, unexpected things, right? Problems with the color, problems with the fit, problems with things that are out of our control many times. The other two main reasons why restorative CAD/CAM restorations will not work are distortion on the quality of your scan. So Of course, scans are easier and more precise than regular impressions, but we still have art on scanning. And the other, that is probably the main one, is that the prep is not allowing the restoration to be manufactured. This is probably the number one reason. And it's not because dentists don't know how to prep, but because prepping is very, very difficult. Unfortunately, we don't have the technology yet to have something that you can fit in the mouth and do a computer-guided preparation. We will get there, but we are not there. So what we need to do is what we call partially guided to preparation. We need to use technology to allow us some guides that will minimize the mistakes. So we already have the process of using your scanner as a chair-side quality control, right? We already mentioned, and Angelo will explain how it works, how is a prep analysis consultancy, he's going to explain that. But what we need to start doing much more is to start prepping teeth, ordering the guides. So this lecture, the first part, is about partially guided preparation, and what are the guides, and in what sequence we suggest you to use these guides.
Yes. So after the preparation, we need to order the case, of course. You need to send to us this prep file. And this, we have a new option now, prep validation, prep evaluation, live with you. So you can book the appointment with your client and tell us what time the file should be available for us. So we import the file inside our project in Memo, your project, the ideal project in Memo. So we can evaluate if the prep is enough, if the margins are good, if you have the perfect insertion axis, and everything will be more smooth and easy if everything is okay, right? It's better than you send your patient to home and then you need to book another appointment for try to correct something.
So the idea is to have the service fast enough that your patient can wait before you put the provisional and send them home. So you schedule in advance, you need to schedule in advance for important cases, big cases. Our team will be ready. You do your scan, you send, we're gonna do the quality control, send you back the report with the areas that need to be improved, then you retouch, scan again, and then put the provisional, release your patient.
Obvious question for our time zone.
Time zone from Australia. Angelo doesn't sleep.
I'm sorry.
I think you should book this appointment for 9 p.m. for you. No, we can try to find a way, okay?
More questions then?
So, another very important thing is, I know you know that, but some of you maybe can forget, but send a picture with the stump shape and the scale, right? And need to be showing the scale, okay? Because sometimes the picture is like here, so.
That's true, it happens.
Okay?
So it didn't change anything because I hear my father talking about it for 40 years.
Jackie's father is a technician, so yeah.
Okay, so then we start the lab work with the over-the-prep design in lab biocopy, because this is the software that we use for the natural restorations. Just to show you what is the biocopy. This is a perfect copy from Nemo Design. In gray is Nemotech Design with natural algorithms, facially driven design, and we are just copying and adjust some things. Okay? Block selection, milling and printing the model. This is our workflow, scan and glaze, and for this we need to do this in 3 work days plus shipping, right? So just to understand for why we need to use some guides, we have 3 different designs in the most of cases. Normally, the ideal design is not only additive. We have some areas that we need to additive, yeah. So we need to remove these areas for the ideal design. And this ideal design should guide your preparation, right? Not the motivational design. So we use first the pre-preparation guides, reduction guides. You can do the buccal and the palatal and the cuspids area, okay? And then you can do the ideal mock-up. It's different from the motivational mock-up, right? After you prep through the mock-up, you can use the other guides, the post-prep quality control guides, occlusal, buccal, and palatal, just to see if you have enough space for the ceramics. I will show better here. So, the first guides are the pre-prep guide, buccal, and cuspids.
That slide with the 3 moments. You have that? Did you show that?
No, I had to divide into the slide with the 3. Yeah, I divide in the pre-preparation and post-preparation. Okay? Mock-up with the ideal project, ideal post-preparation. Okay? Prep through the mock-up, and you can control the preparation with these guides. Look how nice it is, because you can see where you need to remove more. This guide is guided by the ideal design, of course. So we can see the clearance. Right? So I'm sure if you use these guides, I don't need to change the project for the final restorations. We can keep the same size of the teeth. Buccal prep guide. And you can see the space for the ceramics. You can also measure the space. The clearance, right? It's clear, makes sense? Just to facilitate, okay? Just to guide better. And this guide, Christian likes this guide because we can see in the interproximal area the space for the design. You want to talk?
It's a very important guide because the buccal incisor reduction is usually the easiest ones to control by doing the prep through the mock-up. And the problem is usually on the interproximal. So having this guide, you will control the interproximal area that is usually the nightmare of any veneer manufacturing. Okay? So actually, we have 3 steps into the process of what we call partially guided, because we are leaving the name totally guided to preparation when we have tools that are actually going to mill the teeth inside the mouth, or completely guide the handpiece. That, for example, first fit technology that we are already using is a completely guided tooth prep system. But to get to a decent level, we can, with partially guided procedures, get to a very, very interesting point. So if you have that slide with the 3, so we can summarize the process. It makes it very easy to understand.
Yes?
reduced enough. And you're going to have to modify the final porcelain, so it's not going to match. And you know.
So you want to prep
when I
at
went
the same appointment
as
of
the
bonding,
inserts,
right?
because you know in the old days we used to get something called journal reduction coping, but you can do it digitally, and this way the patient doesn't have to come back, and the restoration will fit perfectly.
You can do for small areas, okay?
Yeah. Because before I wasn't sure that I needed this, but now I see yes, I think for sure. But even then, even with this, you know, you're tired and you're working in the mouth all day and you can't see everywhere and there's saliva, etc. Just having that small thing so you don't have to adapt the restoration. So then the ideal is exactly that.
So every time we notice that we need to change a little bit the design,
yes, because
I need to tell you that, and maybe
I didn't
we
understand.
have.
I didn't understand the question. I don't know if everybody else.
I want to know if you can make, you know, do you remember in the old days you used to do a journal reduction coping, right? You didn't reduce enough.
This, like this.
Yes, but post, after the scan,
So
the
your
patient
prep,
is gone.
your prep didn't reduce enough in certain areas,
Yes.
and we in the lab would do a reduction guide with the final crown already
Yes,
done.
exactly.
Yeah, that's
We
totally.
can do that.
And that's easier and faster than
We don't like to
booking
say that we can do it because then it creates some, but we can do that much precise than actually we used to do with Duralab.
Yeah, but I would rather that than having to adapt the restoration, because then it's not the match of the ideal anymore.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's an option.
Yes.
If the reduction doesn't affect the margins,
Yes.
right? Yeah. But this little, yeah. No. If we follow this, you probably will never need that anymore. Okay? So this slide summarizes everything. The core of guided tooth preparation lies here. What is this? Is the actual technical mock-up, is the ideal project. So the ideal project goes into the mouth at the day of your tooth preparation, and you're gonna use the technique with the depth cutters to make the 3 grooves on the buccal and 3 grooves on the incisal, following this depth that comes the instruction from the lab. The lab needs to give you the depth. Okay? So we give you the depth, you put the technical mock-up in, you prep. Now, if your case is not completely additive, and you decided for any reason not to do ortho because ortho pre-restorative is mainly making subtractive become additive. That's the beauty of ortho pre-restorative. But if for any reason you decided not to go to ortho, or you did ortho and still have some reduction areas, then you need this guide because you cannot fit the ideal
post-preparation
with these areas that are sticking out. So this guide comes, you reduce the areas, incisal or buccal, and after you reduce this, then now the ideal design can fit into the mouth. So then you're gonna fit into the mouth, 3 grooves, remove the mock-up, so make it easier. Draw with a pen the grooves, pencil in the groove to see, remove everything, smooth out the grooves, and you have the buccal incisal reduction under control. So that problem is probably solved. Then
When you mill a restoration, the burrs have to fit within the parameters of the porcelain. And so sometimes there is a discrepancy between a milled restoration and a pressed restoration. And that is the thing that I have the biggest challenge with, because I want it to match the ideal. So I get lost sometimes in where I am.
now you're not gonna get lost in the reduction. Place the markup in. Do the grooves. Smooth out the grooves. You have the main reductions. Then you need to do quality control. Quality control is done with 3 guides. So you have 3 moments, and moment 3 is divided in other 3 moments. So I don't know if Angelo have the slide that I just did, Angelo? 3, 1, 2, 3.
As 3 guias, vou voltar para outra apresentação.
You messed up the whole thing, right? Yeah.
This one?
Yes. So this is occlusal, buccal, incisor. Okay? Now, you need to understand that these three guides are part of the third moment of guided preparation.
Yes.
Okay? The reduction guides, technical marker with the grooves, and then we call these quality control guides.
You already prepped.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to design a lot of guides.
The reduction guides are windows, okay? Windows. And then, because the technical markup will control reduction, buccal, incisor, but will not control the interproximal. You need to remove the technical markup and finish freehand the interproximal areas, define your finishing line, and then smooth out the angles. That is usually the nightmare of CAD/CAM.
I will show you the prep.
The milling machine cannot copy sharp angles. So you need to smooth out the angles, and then to finish, 1, 2, 3 quality control guides. Okay?
So let's start with the
Victor there.
Then you have the option also of booking an appointment with the planning center, scan the patient, and they will tell you if everything's good enough.
Parallel to that.
My question is, how long
10
does it
minutes.
take from iTero to reach to you?
From iTero is a little different.
Yeah.
Because you don't have how to send to us before upload in the iTero cloud, right? So we need to scan with iRecords, send to us, and then scan it with chairside move. Or chairside. Restorative you need to send to Costa Rica and etc.
No, we are already working on it. They're gonna change that, but for now, with iTero, you need to use you need to cheat the system, and you need to scan your preps in iRecord, immediately send to us, and in 10 minutes, we give you a feedback.
Because if you need
if
you need to change something in iTero with chairside mode, you need to rescan everything again. So just do the high quality scanning after my
Sure the prep is okay.
This is the best way. Yeah, you can rescan again. Yes. Okay, so let's move for the tooth preparation. Some tips. We're gonna talk about this. Insertion axles, visible finish line, clearance internal angles and finish line.
Let me say something here. The sharp angles. Don't look at the sharp angle problem as a limitation of CAD. Look at it as CAD saving your ass. Because if you don't use CAD, technicians will work around and will find a way to do the restoration that instead of lasting 15 years, will last 6 years and will break and we will not know why. So CAD/CAM is actually making things clear from the inception and allowing us to troubleshoot the problems and create a better workflow.
Okay. The most common
Explain to the
problem.
patient that. Explain to the patient that.
The most common problem is the insertion axis. Look at this. It's impossible to find a way to fit the restoration without opening the margins. And there's no guide for this. There's no guide for this. We cannot make anything to help you. Because there's a lot of
The guide is the
different
screen.
angles.
The guide is the screen of your scanner.
Yes.
So besides the 3-step guided process plus the 3 quality control guides, so you're using actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guides. After that, you scan and you go to the screen and you do this analysis for path of insertion, undercuts, visibility of the finishing line, clearance, and what was the 5th?
Yeah, the 5th is the
Sharp angles. Sharp angles. 5 principles that you need to analyze chair side. Okay, we have that. I believe everybody made notes of this on residency 1. Okay, so when you look at your scan, on your iTero or whatever other scan, you're looking at your scan, you need to look at the tooth by tooth and ask yourself 5 questions. Do I have path of insertion? Do I have undercuts? Can I see the finishing line? Do I have clearance? Do I have sharp angles? You can activate, yeah?
You can see.
Occlusal clearance. Occlusal clearance and interproximal clearance. Buccal clearance only with the quality control.
Yes. Visible margins.
This is a top prep for CAD-CAM.
Yes. A small chauffeur. It's perfect for us. Okay. Clearance. With these guides, we can see the clearance.
Huh?
Look at the problems when we don't have enough space. Yes.
Clearance. How do we know the clearance? This is not standard. This is based on an analysis that we need to do for you before. So you can send us the color that your patient wants, plus the stump shade.
It depends about the difference between what the patient wants and what is the stump shade.
So we're gonna have the final design. So we overlap on the computer the final design to the existing situation. We know the color, the stump shade, and we know the final color, and we do the math, and we give it to you that for this case, to achieve the color that you want, you need 0.7, 0.5, 1. Yes, the clear. When you order the guides, exactly. No, stump shade, I mean, the tooth shapes before prepping is enough. Tooth shape, tooth color before prepping is enough. Then when you prep, take pictures again. That's some extra information. Sometimes it changes a little bit. Yeah, reconfirm. But usually, you know, usually it doesn't change that much. Tooth color, prep color.
These areas in blue is the minimum thickness for milling, 0.3 normally. Okay. So if you don't prep enough, if you don't have the clearance, we need to change the design, everything to buccal. So it's terrible, okay? Rounded internal angles. This is the best option for the incisal edge because it's easy to mill this angle for the milling machine. So can fit better. If you prep like this, it's impossible for the milling machine to do this without an over milling. So when we put in the mouth, there's a little space, more space than more space for the cement, so it's easy to break. Okay? Look at this is example. We can see the space because the diameter of the burr. So this is an over milling. It's easy to break here. Make sense? So if you round a little more, this be fitted better. This is the Jacqueline slides from iTero.
Let's go. Where's Jackie? Here. Jackie's ready. So now,
2 slides, right?
Yeah.
Now comes the icing on the cake.
Actually, I'm demonstrating.
This is the insertion axis.
Yes.
Okay.
Insertion axis here. So you can see if you have any red areas. This is specifically from iTero, right?
Yes, in iTero, you have to move your STL.
So yes, you can talk in my scanning, but in iTero,
We're gonna shift to Jackie to finish the final topic. You have more stuff? So
Just
you wanna
one,
finish?
just one,
Okay.
just one.
Don't finish.
Just want to finish. If you send me everything perfect, this should be the final result, okay? That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Final topic. Just final. It's gonna be very fast. Jackie's gonna just give you the tips. As I said, we have a unique situation at Clinic in our clinic because of the Dsd, all the companies are bringing scanners. So Jackie was able to try them all. Jackie has been with digital since her father was a very well-known technician in Brazil. Coincidence. When I started as a technician in 1994, one of the first courses I did was from a guy from Degussa. Who remembers the company Degussa?
Yes,
Yeah. Cirona. Degussa. So I did a course.
I was only a baby that time.
Yeah. And I made this course, one of the first courses I ever did in 1995 with this guy that was known in the dental laboratory world as Schneider. That was his name. I did this course, never saw the guy again, and went on. Everything happened until 4 years ago when Jackie came to the residency. She saw the residency. My father invited her to start working, and then one day she comes to me and says, yeah, I have experience in the lab. My dad is a technician. His name is Schneider. I'm like, Schneider? The Schneider? I don't know if it's the Schneider from Degussa. Yeah, that's the Schneider. Say, your father was my first teacher when I was a technician. Her father was in the north of Brazil and then in Portugal working with the lab there. And since 2 years,
Yes, 2 years.
he moved back to Brazil and he took over our lab. So now it's Jacqueline Schneider, Jonathan, her brother, the manager, Jonathan Schneider, and now Schneider, the real Schneider, the old Schneider, running our lab in Brazil. So it's a family business as well, right?
Yes, we like to do it. I don't know why.
So the coachman's left my father, he adopted another family. The Schneider. So it's now...
Actually, now Robert says that I'm Jacqueline Schneider Coachman.
And she says, no, it's Jacqueline Coachman Schneider.
Yeah. Otherwise, my father.
Yes. My father is super nice, super nice. The ones who went to residency too met the old Schneider, super nice. He's still working full power. Great story. He was a great technician. 0 digital until 2 years. He got on board. He came back. My father was concerned because, you know, if he doesn't work, it's going to be very bad to tell Jackie, your father, you know, he's not into digital. He's a traditional classic technician. He reinvented himself. How old is he? How many years working as a technician?
More than 40.
More than 40 working as a technician. The guy is full power.
Actually,
digital.
he fights more for digital than my cat can man.
Yeah. Amazing guy. That shows, you know, he's a great soul. So he's fully digital now, bringing his experience.
He doesn't want to layer anymore.
That's fantastic. So,
Let's start.
yep. So what happened is that because of her father, Jacqueline was exposed to digital in
14 years ago.
2006.
Yes, 2006. I was still in college, and my dad put me inside a clinic and to work as everything. Actually, my first conversation with the dentist, I said I want to offer the coffee for the patient. That is how I entered into the clinic. And I did everything, clean the bathroom, all. And then he saw potential, and he started putting me to see patients, cleaning, provisional, polishing the provisional, and then he bought the CEREC system, 2006. And he saw my eyes shining when I saw that, and I said, please bring me to São Paulo because I want to learn how to work with this. And then I came into training and I started running the digital part of the clinic 14 years ago. but only chair-side workflow.
So that was Sirona, 2006, all the way to coming to work with us in 2017.
Yes.
When we also had the chair-side system, but we also had the lab systems, the desktop systems, and at that time the OmniCam, right?
The OmniCam.
Then we got the tree shape.
Then we bought the tree shape, and then I spent more than 2 years with tree shape, restorative solution. And I was very happy with the tree shape solution. But then Christian always take me out of my comfort zone. And then he said, you need to buy the iTero, because this is the future. We need to try, we need to see how it works. And then I convinced my brother, and we bought the iTero scanner. Also because we were increasing our Invisalign cases, so we want a scanner that could offer us both solutions, restorative and the ortho cases.
So the chairside workflow was taken care of because OmniCam and the in-lab and the whole CEREC chairside is still working, and Jacqueline still uses for certain cases. I want her to explain which scanner and what system, because it's very unique that you have so much experience in all different systems, and you can compare, and she's going to give honest feedback. So of course that as you get your first trios, super nice scanner, you start using the restorative workflow, it's very, very nice. She fell in love with that, and then she started to use OmniCam only for specific chairside solutions,
yes,
using trios for most of the restorative cases. Now comes
full mouth rehabilitation. I was using trios, and for half of arch, 3 teeth most, I was using the chairside solution because it was faster. So that is when I used CEREC.
And since she is a digital machine, she got expert with trios to a super high level of trios. Super happy we were using trios very well. Then came Invisalign, Daniel came on board, we need iTero, we're gonna get iTero, so we got iTero to start using it. And as we started to use more and more iTero, and we started to collaborate with the line, the problem was that our trio scanner was not ours. Trios gave to us. So when they saw us working with Align, they said, we're not happy. No trios anymore. So Jackie came to me.
I was crazy.
Jackie was crying to me, devastated, and how can we find a way? I said, no, there's only one way. You need to figure out how to use trios for restorative. They say it's working. iTero. So that was the journey. She tried by herself because she thought, I have a lot of experience with OmniCam, with trios and CareStream. A lot of experience with CareStream. I know how to scan, right? Things were not working very well, so probably she went through the same journey that most of you went. You know, listen to a speaker, get it very excited, Invisalign restorative, buy the iTero. No, but Christian said it works. Then you start doing, and things don't work. Your lab complains, the file is not good, and the whole thing that we hear over and over again.
Yeah.
So we called Align and said we need support. So they sent several different trainers to us, right? And this is the point.
6 months, we're sending
People say, no, now you're gonna learn. No, it's not working. No. Now the supervisor or the manager of the teacher is coming. The big guy.
They were blaming my scanner, so they changed my scanner because it was a problem with the camera, was a problem with the something.
Do you guys know this story? Yeah. No, so real life is different. But that's very cool. I'm telling the story to get to the point. At one point, and this is what we want to share with you. At one point, we were just lucky. Maybe because we have connections. Maybe because Align realized that it was very important that we were actually happy with iTero. So they really sent the big guy from Israel.
I had one morning training with him by internet.
Very simple.
Very, very easy. And then he shared with me some tips of how to understand the camera, the limitations, what you cannot do with this camera. And then I changed my scanning technique, and then I started to see the changes, and the lab was approving my scannings again.
So Angelo can say that we have issues with scans from all the scanners. It means that every scanner has their own tricks. It's their own journey. It's their own learning curve, right? Companies have no clue how to train people to use their own stuff. Or they have a few people that understand how to train and a bunch of people that don't. You know, we can understand that. Imagine, do you know how many employees Align has? 18,000 employees. 18,000 employees. So actually, when I realized 18,000, I thought, you guys are actually doing a pretty good job, because to make the world use Invisalign and the world use iTero, you know, even Trios, it's a much smaller company, they have I don't know how many thousand employees. So it's impossible. So that's the reason why I mentioned on day one, the iTero Study Club, the virtual connection. Jackie is going to share with you some tips. Yeah?
I'm being forced to do it. Okay, let's work.
Yeah, let's go. Show the tricks.
This is a case of preps, okay? This was our
You're not going to
last...
show that the slide with the classifications. You're not going to show what?
Do you want me to show?
No. Just to explain one thing. This is very important for you to evaluate, because we know you all have scanners. The question is, what is your second scanner? Or what is your third scanner? Or when all the companies come with a new version, which scanner should you buy when you need to buy new scanners? Because technology is going to evolve like crazy. So we divided scanner evaluation in 5 topics, 5 different topics, okay? So, because scanners will start to become very specific, and they will become better and better on one thing, and the other one better and better on another thing. So 5 topics that we need to evaluate. We classify them as first appointment scanners.
First appointment and hygiene section.
First appointment and hygiene section scanners. The best scanners for first appointment documentation, easy diagnostics, artificial intelligence, patient presentation,
Patient
education, communication, forecasting the issues, quality control, time lapse, etc. type of features. These are all amazing for first appointment and hygiene sessions. So that's one type of quality. The other type of quality is digital orthodontic workflow. The scanners that are great for that, better than others. The other one is implant workflow. The other one is restorative workflow. So it's actually 4 groups, right?
No, and the other is chair-side restorative workflow.
And the 5th is chair-side solutions. Chair-side solutions. Okay? So we can definitely see, and be honest here, for example, today still, CEREC is still leading the chair-side workflow.
Yes.
Still leading the chair-side workflow. Very cool solution, easy, friendly, whatever. iTero, for my opinion, is definitely leading first appointment impact, right? As a scanner that is friendly for an assistant to do diagnostic models with all the visuals and artificial intelligence, orthodontic simulation in 60 seconds, time lapse. All these tools are very, very cool for first appointment hygiene. Okay? Orthodontic workflow, of course, iTero again is leading, definitely that. There's no other scanner that has a workflow with a top aligner, etc. Then you have implant workflow, and implant workflow is all about, all the scanners can do great job on single implant units,
Until
3. The question is, as you go around the arch on bigger cases, what scanners are giving you more precision that you can trust to scan and mill a restoration with passive fit, right? That's the key. So Jackie's going to mention her experience with that. And then you have the restorative. That is usually our main question. Restoratively, what is the best scanner? Trios is a great scanner. Carestream is a great scanner. Omnicam, if you're doing chair side with their system, great scanner. iTero was always a question mark, and people were saying, I don't know, it's just an ortho scanner, and that's the experience that Jackie wants to share with you, her learning experience, and how she is doing amazing work restoratively with iTero.
Yes, for me, before experiencing the iTero, I had very divided in my mind. Chair side, CEREC system. Full mouth rehabilitation, Trios, it's definitely very good. Carestream worked very well, so I had no, it was perfect for me too. iTero for first appointment, hygiene, and ortho, because it's easy to teach, to get your team on board, to make more people, it's more intuitive. But I had issues in the beginning with the iTero for restorative, but it's not because of the scanner, it's because of the user. So I was not being able to use correctly the scanner to do it. Once I learned, I was getting better results. So now I have a scanner that makes my life easier in the ortho, the restorative. I am also using 2 implant solutions and for my first and hygiene appointments. Okay? If you have more than 1 scanner, you can choose whatever you are needing more. If you want to stay, I don't know what the situations of most of the people here, but if you're entering, for example, into the aligner field in your office, of course the iTero will help you a lot because you're going to be able to use in other offices to other applications. So you need to define a scanner that gives you more clinical applications and solutions.
Okay, show the tricks.
Yes, so here, the first case, we're gonna have full arch preps for veneers. And here in the screen of the iTero, you will be able to choose between chair-side milling or restorative solution.
Okay, how many were there?
The chair-side milling is when you will be able to download in your in the iTero, my iTero account, the cloud, the scanner, the scanning, and send to whatever CAD system that your lab work with. The restorative solution, you will pass through Costa Rica, they will work in your mesh and send you back the STL, okay? In our case, we choose for chair-side milling solution, and then we go to scan. This was the case of our last residency, who were there will know. So the first thing that I do is to scan the arch. Oh, let's go back 1 minute, I forgot here. You need to fill this form and type which tooth you're gonna scan, okay? And what it is. So 15, we have a veneer. I don't need to define now what is the material I'm gonna use, so I just choose lab preference, goes back. I touch 14, veneer, and then I copy from to 15 and go back. I'm gonna do until 13, okay? So we go fast. Veneer and copy. After you doing all your preps, now you're gonna go to the scanning part. So now you see here that iTero tells you what to scan in those white teeth, okay? Of course that you can scan the whole arch, but it's not necessary. So let's begin in the upper arch. And the first thing that we're gonna do is to scan the arch. You don't need to pay attention in details of the prepped part. Just the adjacent part, the contact points, these you have to be attentive, okay, to copy.
If somebody has questions, just raise your hand. We have the microphone here.
Okay? You will start on the occlusion area. One thing also, always stone model color. The teeth color is good in the first appointment in the hygiene sections because you want to show to the patient. Now is a technical scanning. You need to see the surface and see what you're popping. The color tooth doesn't show you everything, so always scan in this option. Then you start again, occlusion. When you go to the canine, you start moving your camera anterior palatal until the middle of the arch, and then you stop. You turn off the camera, and then you turn on again in the other side, and go occlusion, buccal, palatal, and the software gets the images together. Why do you do this with iTero? Because the iTero camera and the software of scanning, doesn't understand very well this movement that we need to do. Imagine your patient here, you're doing the scanning to To go to the other side, you need to turn the camera. That will cause distortion. It's different from trios. It's another technique, okay? And then you go to vestibular.
You paid your trip already on that tip, okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Well. And then you go buccal. And when you're going buccal, you do this pendular movement because you are copying the intraproximal area at the same time. This will make you faster. And then you go to the other side, occlusal, and then vestibular, and go the movement of the wave, like a wave. And then you go palatal, and do the same movement. When you are in the posterior area, your camera has to go horizontal. When you go anterior, you put the camera vertical. And then horizontal again, the wave movement.
Yeah.
And then you copy the palatal. I don't have here in this model, but now is the time that you copy, okay?
Yep.
Perfect. So now this is one area that I need to check. Is the proximal? It's okay. It's okay. So now I'll go prep by prep.
Yes, question.
Yes?
You want the palatal area.
Okay, when you scan the whole mouth, the whole arch, and everything is crowned, you lose details to overlap images in the CAD system. So as much as the details that you capture in the palatal has much, you have Angelo to do the overlap, okay? Another thing that is very, very important, if you are going to prep a full arch, first, before when you place the post-treatment mock-up to do your prep over, before you prep, scan it as a pre-op scanning. And send this to Angelo too, especially if you're gonna prep everything as crowns, because this will help him to overlap images. Am I right, Angelo?
That's
Always do it.
Amazing tip.
The in-house milling one or whatever.
What?
Same, in the same chair side milling.
No, in the chair side milling, no, the chair side milling you have there, I'm not turning back, but in that form, you have pre-op scanning. You click there, and then you're gonna have here in this section, number 1 and 2. And then number 1, you scan the ideal mock-up. And then in number 2, you scan after prep. In the same file.
Let me emphasize it, because this is amazing. Point number 1, you scan the palette. Why? The magic of overlapping. We talk on residency 1, the magic of overlapping. We need information. Of course, if it's an easy buccal 6 veneer case, you have all the remaining tooth structure to overlap. But if you don't, you're prepping crowns, you want the palette to be able to overlap the files, okay? The other reason to scan the palette is that you're giving extra information to the software to allow you to minimize this distortion of the arch, okay? This distortion. If you go just like a horseshoe, right? You have more of this. If you scan the palette, you're giving more information to minimize that, okay? I don't know why, but I have
We're trained to scan less information rather than more.
No, but
Yes, but
it's the overscanning.
It's very valuable.
Problem.
It really takes more, but what I think as a clinician, if I want to do a conventional impression, maybe I will do it faster, but it's apparently faster, because if I make a mistake, I will have to do everything again. Put the cords, wait. In the scanning, I just erase what I did wrong, and then I copy again. But those time of post-processing is a time that you're investing, you're not losing. So I'm not concerned in this time.
Now, look at this tip. There's another tip. I don't know if you noticed, she gave another tip. The day of prep, you scan before prep. Why do you scan before prep? I already scanned before prep 3 months ago when I had the pre-op scan, right? I already did the DSD, I have the design. I prep, I scan my prep, we're gonna overlap. But as things change in the mouth, even the soft tissues, the palate, whatever, you're scanning on the same day, right before prep and right after prep. And these two files, the soft tissues will be perfectly overlapped, okay? Now, since you scanned before prep, you have the teeth identical to the other scan that DSD did the design. So you're gonna overlap the pre-prep over the design and the post-prep over the pre-prep, and then you take the pre-prep and you throw it into the trash, and you have the prep over the design. Make sense? Yes, another tip. Why? You have the volumes, yes. Scan pre-prep before anesthesia. Another tip, because you change the volumes, you confuse the sound. Everything is information overlapping.
Please, also when we place the cord, especially when you do the 2 chords technique, the gingival line changes. So if you have the original one, that will help a lot, Angelo, to make the emergency profile of the final restoration.
Okay, you understood? So the pre-prep keeps the tissue the way it is for overlapping reasons and also for emergence profile design.
Okay?
Okay?
So when I'm doing that first scan that we did of the full arch, my patient, I had installed before the 2 cords. So I have the first one that will remain until I finalize all the scanning, and the second cord is there until I'm scanning the arch. Now that I'm going to scan the preps, that is the time that I will remove the second cord, okay? And you're already saving time because you're scanning and the cord is making its function. That is to separate the gingiva from your final finishing line. Now we are gonna scan the 15 tooth. You see that cross, the green cross in the screen? All you guys are seeing? Yes. Okay. You have to place the middle of the cross over the middle of your occlusal area of the prep. Yes, yes. If you're scanning an abutment, you also place in the occlusal of the abutment. Why that? And then I turn to vestibular very slowly. Sometimes every time, I stabilize my camera with my other hand. That's why I don't shake, because in Brazil I'm not allowed to drink wine before seeing patients, so I'm not in my best performance.
Right now.
And then I go to palatal, and then interproximal, and then I will analyze my scanning, and I will see. You see those triangles like this? This is not good. If this happens in my prep area or the finishing line of the prep, you have to scan better in these areas. If it's under, no problem. How do I do this? I find a way that my camera gets very close to my prep, because this is how the 1D of the iTero works. So you turn on, I put in the vertical because I get closer, and then I move very slowly, and then I see the triangles getting inside my image. Why this is happening? Why it's becoming better? Because I'm giving more triangles to the image. So I'm gonna have a better STL for Angelo. Thank you. Okay? And then here you need to scan again. And then you do this in all the preps. I will not do it in all, but I want to show you in the post-process Another thing that you need to do. Imagine that I did this with every prep. And then you go to post-process. You wait. The image is gonna post-process, and then you're gonna limitate the area of the high definition. Remember when I said place the middle of the green cross very in the middle of the occlusal area or the incisor? Because this will guide the camera to capture in high definition only that area of the prep. That will make your life easier now. When you finish here, your job is not finished yet. You have to press that prep figure. You saw? Everybody saw where I touched? And then you're gonna limitate that yellow only in the prep that you are. If you leave that way and you have high definition of the 15 over the 14, here you have damaged the STL file. It's gonna have an overlap of images. So you go in, for example, here less, you're gonna add here in the 14, and then you go plus, and then you got out from the 14.
Let me emphasize here, this is probably one of the most important steps here, okay? We were not doing this, we were messing up all our cases, okay?
Now I'm gonna add only in the 14. So I am in the plus here, and then I just come here, and you close the circle. You saw? There's no problem going over the 60 because it's not a prep, okay? Here it is a problem. I go here, dry here, go to plus, and then okay, I am in the 15 area. You do it with every teeth, with every tooth. If you don't do it, even that you did the best technique, when the file goes to Angelo, we're gonna have overlap of images. It's not gonna be a very good scanning, okay? Any questions? Another thing. When you choose the chairside solution, when you go to your My iTero account, you have to download and choose the CAD system. Why that? Because the STL is a language. So I always tell like this, I am Brazilian, I speak Portuguese, but I learn English, but I have an accent. You all are understanding, but of course I'm not speaking that well as I was born in England, for example. So STLs is the same. All the CAD system, they will understand because they are triangles. But sometimes one of those triangles, they will understand as a losangle. Was it in English? Rectangle. It's gonna understand the sense, but in this area, you can have a disadaptation. But imagine if this is in the fitting line. This is a problem. So when you export the file, you have to choose
in-lab.
In-lab. Yes, you have to choose in-lab because this is what the Dsd lab will work with, okay? So this is another tip important. If you work with a restorative option, your file is gonna go to Costa Rica. You're gonna have to tell them what's gonna to be done. They will do everything and send to you again, okay? Questions? In lab, chair side.
For treatment planning, yeah.
For restorative.
For restorative.
With the Dsd lab.
Yes.
Dsd lab, chair side no.
Chair side solution. You can do full arch. You can do implants.
You can do everything.
Everything.
Eye records or
when you're
restorative chest.
When you're doing full mouth implants. What?
With the chair side,
Same workflow. The only difference is the file don't go to your Costa Rica.
Yes.
You can download immediately and send to them.
But you have to activate this option for you, okay? You have to call custom support and make them for everybody.
Default.
Yes.
You need to ask them to activate share side solution.
Okay. Okay. Already prepped. And the cords. I do the scanning of the arch. And then I remove one cord, I scan the prep. I remove one cord, I scan the prep. That's why I can, if some bleeding happen, I can easily control. So then regular.
Angelo, does Dsd support like trios for the lab itself? So if I send, can I send directly from trios to?
Yeah, any STL.
Yes. I mean, not via export, like just directly straight, like a planning center.
And we forward to one. Any scanner.
Not via exporting the XTL and then
you can
direct.
send directly. Plan center is also available on trios. You can search it.
Okay.